Ladies and gentlemen, October
DJ,
1st,
kick the music.
2021. Officially, Q4 has begun. We are now talking about Q4, ladies and gentlemen. This is the SMT Podcast, live and direct from multiple locations in the United States. We got the SMT corridor over here on the top left. We got even Dennis, my man, over there in PA. God damn, look at the bearded dragon, my man from Long.
I'm not shaving.
And we even have a guy that went all the way to Rancho Cucamonga, the Los, the Cha-Cha over there in Rancho Victoria. Oh my God, this is unbelievable, man.
We might have to get rid of Technoid. He usually does that stuff
Jesus.
for us.
And remember, this might be October 1st when we're recording, but who knows? You might be listening to this in 2100.
Oh, come on.
One day.
Pete.
Yeah, one day.
That's some kind of prophecy.
We are a historical anthology of stuff.
So I am the
We're writing
official
history in the
Nostradamus?
history
What are
book.
we doing here?
Bro,
Write history in the history books, bro.
this week has been unprecedented. Unprecedented.
Unprecedented indeed.
I got so
Technoid in
much
the
to talk
house.
about. Steve, hit it already, dog. Hit it with
All
the
right.
music, man. Come on.
Yo, kick the music, man. All right, actually,
that
don't
intro.
kick the music because we got a lot of people that are
Yep.
amped up to be here, and they are already calling me out for being late as usual. So big shout out to Qais. Appreciate you for being here. Stetson's also in the live chat. Appreciate you, Stets.
Oh, damn.
Thank you, man. The homie Mike West is here. Alexis, hello from Dallas. You know, there are a few people that I listen to very closely when it comes to certain expertise and predictions and insights. Alexis is one of them. So I kind of like what he's saying here. I kind of agree. I don't know if it'll be exactly 3 years, but I think he's onto something. In 3 years, we have dishless Starlink. I think he's right. I think that is probably not as far off as we think it is.
That is a perplexing one, though, since it's a low Earth orbit satellite. How would you be collecting the frequency without a dish?
Yeah, but I thought the end game was to get away from dishes for the end user.
Well, here's the thing. If you get rid of those, each of the beams is going to have to be pinpointed in
Right.
one isolated location. With a parabolic reflector, a dish, you have that like square meter of a circumference
Right.
to whack down all those beams.
I was
So
gonna
that's-
say,
that's pretty technical.
going dishless would kind of defeat the purpose of what Starlink is trying to do to a certain extent.
Yeah, but I think the dish is just it's just an ends and the means to an end. For
I
now,
mean, going dishless, if the back or the top of the phone is the one that picks up the signal from it, if I go like this, I lose my connection because the antenna for that frequency cannot go through glass.
they're going to be using. Aren't they trying to get to 12 gigahertz, Pete?
Yeah,
And I think also there's some 2 gigahertz at play. So there's
there's
some new
2
frequencies.
gigahertz. I am vehemently fighting against the 12 gigahertz, though.
I think a lot of people are actually.
Wait, why? What's wrong with 12 gigahertz?
So the incumbents are. It's going to be a conflict of interest with DirecTV and AT&T if it goes to auction.
Also, Dish and Dish.
Yeah, Dish is involved, DirecTV is involved, AT&T is involved. Obviously, they own 70% of that company. So
It's their spectrum, effectively.
yeah. So how do you structure that
Right.
without, like what are you going to do? Is AT&T willing to spin off DirecTV just for 12 gigahertz
100%.
spectrum? Well, then why'd they
Like-
fight to retain 70%, Pete?
Exactly.
With LPG.
It'd have to have no financial ties, no backroom agreements, just a straight up, you have to sell this as a blind trust type thing to anyone bidding. You cannot give preferential treatment to a company. This is the same for Dish Network, which we're calling it Dish Mobile for some reason.
Fire
But
Mobile.
they'd have to get rid of the Dish part of Dish to even be considered for this.
Right. And who knows how much of it actually goes to auction and how much they hand to Dish and say, pay this much for it and you can use it.
The only way you avoid that is a steep FCC fine on both sides.
Just right off the rip.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my take on this. If hypothetically the 12 gigahertz spectrum was able to be utilized for terrestrial communications like mobility, right, like regular mobility, I don't think AT&T would have divested DirecTV. Let's be honest. That would have been more valuable than all the money they would have gained from the divestiture. They would have kept it on the books, retained the spectrum, just so that they could have the spectrum.
We have a Timo. Just the comment on the screen. Anyways, that thing's loaded.
Damn. Hey,
I'd like him to try Dish in some AT&T in some neighborhoods in my neck of the woods.
How is it?
He wouldn't even be able to text me to tell me my T-Mobile sucks.
hey, I'll tell him this much though. Right here, I've been getting a lot of ultra capacity icon. All I'm gonna say is ultra capacity D's. And show the picture, Sneed. Pop a picture up. These, you know what, bro? That's it, bro.
We're keeping it PG-13. You know how we do.
Bro,
it.
I've seen those screenshots. They're horrible, bro.
Bro, I'm getting 36 down with like 2 upload, 7 upload. Like,
What is that?
Capacity.
Extended range?
Yeah, it really is. There's no N41 on that tower, but it's showing UC on the icon.
What?
What's up with that?
I know what happened.
Pulling from another tower?
I know what happened here.
What happened?
Zero Cool RF is no longer serving your region as the RF engineer.
Oh, he's
here in SoCal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, who's servicing my area of Pittsburgh? Can we
look into this?
Can we get that looked into?
Jesus.
All right.
I cannot ask him unless it's for defense reasons.
But
let's do
But Sneed, it is true that UC icon is having the same issues that the 5GE icon has been, notoriously getting since the inception. I mean, even in my home site, I'm getting supposedly UC access, but it's band 71, band 66. So it's technically
That's not
false.
ultra capacity.
My home site's doing it now too. Well, it's not even. The other one's still on the Sprint Keep site, but I'm connecting to the other one.
Give them like 3 months to work the stuff out.
Yeah,
what really annoys me is it was deployed half baked.
Like everything T-Mobile does?
Well, look at 5G.
Okay, the start was really bad, and then it got a little better, and then they started deploying. Yeah, and then they started deploying the N41, and it was rocky and shaky, and then it got a little better. Then we got new modems, and it got a lot better.
No, I'm saying the rollout of 5G in general.
Yeah,
we are predominantly non-standalone, which is not real 5G in my opinion.
But Pete, the standalone's not good either.
No, let me finish. The standalone is not optimized for the antennas because nobody's done enough testing, and well, T-Mobile is the bulk of the standalone, so they should have tested more. Mm-hmm. Also, Verizon started this is 5G with the millimeter wave stuff, making people think 5G is basically a continuation of LTE.
Well, you're talking about DSS. The millimeter wave's fast.
No. The millimeter wave being fast is a continuation of what LTE was, going with LTE, LTE-A, and LTE-A+. Just faster and faster.
All right.
5G is not only about speed, it's about service level deliverables as a service.
But that hasn't changed much, Pete.
It hasn't been deployed.
You're right.
Hey, guys.
We haven't really seen the latency change. We haven't really seen the consistency. Like, even if you look at
It's still
Like
in
take
the
T-Mobile Home
oven.
Internet, right? Take T-Mobile Home Internet, which is essentially the first 5G use case for T-Mobile, is the home internet.
Yep.
It's a mixed bag. Some of these more optimized 5G sites are pretty good and people are liking the service. I had to
Like
return
Stetson's
mine.
neighborhood.
Right, but I had to return mine. There was no way I was going to pay for it. They kept giving me credits. They wanted me to hang around. They were cool about it. They were nice to me. They treated me good, but I couldn't keep it. It was a waste.
Our old buddy Tom kept getting the his home internet service paused just so they could say they had population in Denver and him not using it.
Yeah. So with today's show, actually, what I wanted to do, the elements was T-Mobile in court for CDMA. I can't believe I'm actually saying this. CDMA is still around, and
Wait.
we're still having these discussions.
Hold up. Just
Pete,
just
2
an
years ago.
aside.
2 years ago, we had this conversation.
Yep.
We should not be speaking about CDMA in 2021.
Except for if we're talking about GPS.
And
But
then
yeah.
we'll cover AT&T's fiber, and then the $1 billion in contracts that Verizon just landed with Department of Labor.
Actually, Sneed, we were talking about it in 2018 why CDMA shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, we were done. Everybody was like, "What's going to happen with GSM and CDMA with T-Mobile and Sprint?" We're like, "Who cares? It needs
Who
to get
cares?
shut
Take
down."
it out back old Yeller style.
Exactly. And actually, this is why I'm pissed at Neville and T-Mobile. They said one thing and now they're kind of backtracking, so they look bad. They should have openly said it then. We plan on shutting the entire 3G and CDMA side and moving everything to 5G. They said we didn't need the PCS that's on the 3G. Neville said that. He said he didn't need it for 3 years. Now they're trying to shut it down a year early. There lies the problem. They have something that they're going to hold to them in court. He shouldn't have said that.
I tell you this. PCS, even with 5G deployment, is really nice spectrum.
Beautiful. 1900.
That's like the Goldilocks zone for spectrum. So,
Oh man.
Anyone saying we don't want the PCS for this long, letting it sit in, really outdated stuff.
Pete, they have a lot.
I know.
They have a lot. Like in some markets, they're like 40 plus megahertz.
I wouldn't know. 5x5 is what all T-Mobile does.
I don't get that. I have no idea what's going on in your site, Dennis. I don't know. I tried to figure it out. I got nothing, man.
Yeah, and I can't ask about it.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being a smarty.
T-Mobile's got 20 megahertz here on most sites, I think.
Mm-hmm.
15 or 20, I think.
No, I know I'm giving T-Mobile a hard time. I mean,
but see, the Sprint side gave them X2, right? So it's essentially double that. Carlos tells me in some places they have 25, which is incredible. So if T-Mobile has 20 and then they got 25, that N2 sounds pretty fancy to me, or the N25.
So,
how are they going to do it?
Here's something to consider.
Hashtag ravioli gang for Pete.
Oh yeah. If you have a 10 megahertz block going, you're only using 8.5 megahertz of spectrum. The rest is guard channels.
For what, the 1.8
The spectrum
gigahertz?
block.
Okay.
Either side. You get into 5G with good antennas, you're getting 100% of that usage.
Nice.
So once they finally pivot off this legacy stuff, we're going to immediately be getting, when they start broadcasting in it, an extra 15% of bandwidth.
Let me do some big shout outs here for the super chats. We got a couple of them. Big shout out to Jose. Jose, it's good to see you, man. Hope all is well, and thank you for the super chat. I'm loving T-Mobile's ultra wideband capacity. We're mixing all types of icons right now, I think.
I want that ultra wideband capacity on T-Mobile.
I think Pete's still on the beefcake. I think he's gonna stick with that one. He's gonna ride that one out. So
hey,
beefcake.
Our friend Zero Cool wants him to do beefcake too.
It's a heavy layer of midband, and then everywhere where the millimeter wave needs to be, it will be. That's
so
beefcake.
you're looking at
Thanks, Jose.
256 by 256 MIMO on midband with millimeter wave radiating in the city so much those raindrops want to get funky.
Okay. So I had a quick,
Which would be Quam, what is it?
512,
248.
1024. Oh,
Beefcake.
so I had
That's
I just
beefcake.
had a quick thought real fast. In what is like the percentage differences as far as like bandwidth if we took a 5x5 block on LT versus 5G? Like what is the
5G
speed?
you get full
Ooh.
efficiency.
Oh.
5G you get full efficiency.
Oh man. Okay,
So-
wait, hold up. Make it simple. Minimum 20% increase. Minimum. Right? Pete's doing the math. Isn't it minimum 20?
He went to the whiteboard, ladies and gentlemen.
So this is a 5 gigahertz block. LTE, you lose that curve. This becomes 3.5 megahertz on LTE. When you go to the 5G, if they have the proper antenna that fits broadcasting standards, you get rid of the guard bands you're supposed to impose.
CP,
But I mean,
these
what's
are the.
that?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Dennis.
But like, what does that translate into like a megabits per second? Like peak, like say on LT peak is 25 versus 5G, it would be 50. Or like what does that translate into?
Just as a percentage. If it's
You-
30%,
It's about 30%. However, once we get to network slicing and DNN, you could have 10 users using the same spectrum and have it split in time by milliseconds. So you'd be able to get your 4K YouTube in that.
So the rule of thumb that I was told a long time ago, back in T-Mobile days, was for every 5 megahertz of spectrum on the downlink, it's 37.5 Mbps per 5 megahertz slice.
Yep.
Okay. Now, 37.5 multiplied. I'm doing conservative math. 20% increase. 20%, because you also have to remember that does not include baseband upgrades. That does not include backhaul upgrades. It's just straight the spectrum. Okay.
Doesn't
yeah.
include beamforming.
Yeah, it doesn't include nothing else. It's just
The
straight the spectrum.
adaptive analog digital broadcasting.
Right.
Just
Straight
up
the spectrum. So 37.5, multiply that by conservatively 20% increase. It goes from 37.5 to 45 Mbps. Dude, that's huge.
yeah.
Because
That just-
then
I
you
mean,
multiply that by
that
4.
that essentially gives you that many more users on that
Correct.
Oh,
that channel.
that's per user, not divided per all users.
Well, the way I'm looking at it, Pete, is like this. If I'm on a tower site and we've got a situation like the 4th of July or any of these big events, it opens up the opportunity to
You're
truly
going to
support
get
your
what
customers.
you need.
Exactly. And then,
No,
Pete, you brought up the beamforming. How crucial is that going to be for all those 3 gigahertz channels? You know what I'm saying? The CBRS, the C-band,
hey, even the N41.
100%. The mid-band channels are going to be way more efficient. And they're already the best thing going on right now for mass deployment of
Hey,
capacity.
as I said, PCS is Goldilocks.
Yeah,
You
it's going to
get
be
the
good.
you reform the 10 megahertz of CDMA PCS,
Oh.
and that's like, whoa.
Hold up. Is Need saying PCS is golden? Hold on. The Mr. AWS, man.
Hold on,
band
hold on, bro.
66,
Don't do
band
that. Don't do
66,
that. You know
man.
how I feel about
No,
AWS.
No,
You know how I feel about AWS.
No. But we, Caleb, Pete, and I always said PCS is the Goldilocks.
But, okay, if
Always.
it's the goal, okay, all right, hold on.
The
I'll
thing
make the
with
argument for AWS then. Let me do
AWS.
this. Why didn't we get full HD video on our data plans until AWS was rolled out?
Because
Because
PCS
what,
was
Carlos?
still being used on CDMA and 3G.
There
If
wasn't.
we would have had the full spectrum available.
What are you
I think we
talking
would've had
about?
sooner.
There's 15, 20 megahertz on every channel for every carrier.
No.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
fragmented in some areas. That's the
Yeah.
problem. It's like
Yep.
in New Jersey, New York, for example. AT&T has 10 by 10
All
on
I
some
know-
areas and then 5 by 5. That should be a
All I
15 by
know
15.
is I didn't get 1080p until Band 66 started giving me 1080p.
So
That's
here's
all
the
I gotta
thing
say about that.
about 66. It was open. It was fully cleared spectrum and not subdivided.
So then why are we discounting AWS?
We're not. It's important,
No,
but not as good as
Carlos bringing the
PCS.
smoke, and I'm throwing it back at him, bro.
What'd you say? I'm sorry. I was just reading the chat.
What AWS did was it allowed you to put 2 or 3 5 megahertz blocks directly into download.
See what I'm
True.
saying? You're telling me that wasn't important? What is the number one thing you do on your phone, Carlos? Don't front.
Text.
Number one
video-
thing I do on my phone.
It's video consumption.
Pete said it correctly.
What?
Text.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No,
Man,
seriously, that's
dead
the
serious.
one I do.
Okay, Mr.
That's what I
Text,
do
what's your
too.
data usage on your lines? What, a half a gig a month?
50,
No, I use-
60 gigs.
No, I still
Yeah, you
use
do that
data,
over text
too.
messages?
No,
Yeah.
but the most thing I do is text.
Me and Carlos, I'm gonna have to come out to Vegas. Bro.
I'm
We're
an
gonna have
old
to-
soul
we're gonna
then
have to do
because
this.
the most I
Bring
do
it,
is
bro,
phone
bring it.
call.
So wait, so now let me say this though. PCS is so critical, so Goldilocks, like we're saying, that C-band is compared directly to
To
PCS.
Yeah, to PCS.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's not why. It's
Real
compared
quick.
to. It's
Real quick,
Mm.
Alexis and Texas Marine will be getting to your super chats.
all right. The reason it's compared to PCS is because of the power level. That's why.
Yes.
It's not because of any other reason you guys are about to come up with. All right,
It's
let's do
true
this.
though. You can have unrestricted power output on PCS and C-band, but not CBRS.
No, CBRS is
It's constrained.
yeah, the DoD
No.
calls the shots on that.
Actually, I can say otherwise on that because I've been seeing CBRS pushing about 1.2 miles, which is not
That's
bad.
crazy.
That's actually
I
really
heard.
good.
I heard, but that's nuts. Let
So-
me get some shout outs for these.
The super chats, but then I have
Let me
a
get to these
question. I'm
super-
gonna ask.
Okay. All right. This one is for Dump Biden. Thanks for the super chat, bud. T-Mobile are the worst liars.
Yeah.
So stupid, Carlos. I knew you're gonna like that one, dude. Big shout out to Alexis as well. Just got the iPhone 13 Pro Max 1 terabyte. That would be like the ultimate iPhone, I believe. And play begins this weekend, so he's happy to get that. To
What
report
is
back how
Play?
it is. He's gonna be he's activating it, ready to go. Texas Marine, thanks, man. Appreciate your super chat. Calling from the Death Star. Houston, we have a problem. Ultra capacity is slow here at NASA. Oh man, they better optimize that site. Get that up.
NASA-
Oh, snap.
NASA needs that.
Zero cool.
NASA needs that millimeter wave from all 3 carriers in the building,
They could use it.
and enough mid-band outside to get that water off the coast funking.
The low band can never be NR because you can't use the multi-user massive MIMO. It's only mid band if it is deployed.
Whoa,
with the
whoa,
right
whoa, whoa,
antennas.
Whoa!
Whoa,
Back
whoa,
up
whoa.
the freaking truck.
Back it up.
You can. It's just that with the extended range, they're going to be using that to enhance phone calls.
And technically, you can
So
have
Dennis
low band.
would love it.
So
You
like
can
the
have low
voice over
band NR.
NRP and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
That's good because that's where T-Mobile is probably the weakest is their call quality. To be honest,
I really hope this next generation of calling is better for them because the voice over LT for them was suspect for a long time.
Which is
Well,
surprising because they were first to market with their HD voice codec. But look, I got a spicy question that I want to ask.
Oh, snap.
Caliente.
Ooh.
It's Hispanic Heritage Month. We got to do it.
All right, so, and it's a common question people ask too. But last time we were on a while ago, you asked me, Sneed, who do I think's best positioned for 5G in the future? That was a question you asked me, or something along those wording. I want to re-bring up that question now that I've had a fresh experience thanks to the power of Carlos, and ask all of you guys here, who do you think's best positioned for 5G this era? Who's going to dominate it?
So Dennis, I have to ask you this. Are you looking at it from a total perspective, or is it assets, or is it plan, or is it spending, or are we looking at the whole shebang?
Plan doesn't matter because that can change on the fly. I'm talking about,
But that's all we have for now.
right. But I'm
You
talking
know what I'm
about
saying?
from like an infrastructure standpoint. Like, you know how Verizon
You know
dominated.
what you're gonna get. You know what you're gonna get.
Hold on a sec. Verizon
Yeah.
dominated the era of LT, and it was known, right? And I'm saying from like an infrastructure standpoint, and then as far as acquired assets that we know each carrier has, right? As far as spectrum holdings, who's best positioned?
Go ahead, Pete. We'll start with you, top right of the panel. It's your
Discounting
call, dude.
things I know, but can't talk about.
We'll make your call, man.
AT&T has most fiber. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Unless
No.
DT buys fiber companies up in the U.S. or T-Mobile signs second-party agreements with fiber companies, they can't compete.
I'm gonna tell you guys why I agree with Pete. They just had Corning build a facility to manufacture fiber for them.
The bomb.
Like they literally said, look, Corning, you can do your thing with all these other accounts, no problem. Make us a facility and just make us fiber, please.
Exclusive.
You know, that's crazy. Well, it's not if you think about it. They're the number one fiber run miles in the country. Nobody's even
World.
close.
Probably
Like
world.
Verizon is number 2, and they're distant. Like it's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually surprised Comcast isn't up there, to be honest.
Why?
Because they're basically their own tier 1 provider. Like they got a lot of their own.
But you're talking about fiber run, like the mileage. They got their spots or whatever, but
Well, they're in 38 states, is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, 38 states, and AT&T's in.
yeah, but AT&T's not even running like for themselves only. Like they run on commercial, they run dark fiber, they run a lot of stuff.
The issue is that the analysts, they were like, why are you going to spend a lot of money on fiber? Well, at the end of the day, when every single thing, the CRAN, the in-building and the hospitals and the DAS systems that are coming to the airports and other places, and the macros are all going to run on fiber, owners' economics in the long term is going to play out way better for Verizon and AT&T because they own their own fiber than somebody that's leasing fiber, and they have to spend billions of dollars on certain companies, the Death Star and Lumen and, other providers that provide the infrastructure. And by the way, it's not going to be as secure because it's not first party ran. It's not ran by your T-Mobile engineers. It's ran by somebody else. So how do you know it's going to be secure? How do you know that it's going to always work? You're going to have to depend on somebody else.
I don't think security is going to be much of an issue. Lumen is pretty competent.
Here's the thing, guys. The thing that AT&T needs is coming to them. They've got 80 to 100 megahertz of C-band. They're probably going to do a 40 megahertz national of the Spectrum Auction 110. They don't need fiber. Like fiber is built into their business model. So that part they have in spades. So the Spectrum's coming and it's going to keep coming. T-Mobile has the Spectrum and the timing advantage, but they don't have the fiber infrastructure. And then Verizon is like picking their spots with their fiber. They're not really expanding their footprint unless it's for the 5G home. and they're going to do fixed wireless access. So it's like different. I feel like each company's in a different place.
Now,
So when Dennis asked that, that's a good question because you're factoring in each company's deficiency and saying, well, how deficient is that deficiency? How much does it really set them back?
now, mind you, Lumen may be good with security, reliable, trustworthy with security. The issue is the points where they have to intersect.
Yeah, but you're talking about peering agreements at that point, right? Like all tier 1 providers have to peer off at some point. Even if you're AT&T, you're peering off with Lumen, Comcast, whomever at some point.
But T-Mobile has to allow for certain accounting information from both and Lumen from both sides, and that is a point of weakness. If you're AT&T and you're running your own fiber, all that is in-house and the same IT department.
Fair. I'm going to come in with my take, and I never thought the day would come where I would say this.
I can't believe it. You're going to do it.
I can't believe it either.
Is it this color?
It is. It is this color. It is this color.
I'm surprised.
I know. But I'm gonna say it now. I don't disagree with what you just said. Just to be clear, both of you guys. Like I'm actually very, very confident in your bet that AT&T is going to do great. But I think Verizon's best position, and here is why. My market at Pittsburgh, not a 5G market on the coverage map, but there is millimeter wave in places where I can't believe it. Top of Mexican restaurants, at my local Walmart, all across downtown, there is millimeter wave, and it's getting like 3.8 gigabits per second. That's insane. The LTE as the fallback is not, to be clear, not the fastest, but it is consistent. And most importantly, it's had the lowest latency. The ping times,
that's good.
Yeah, the ping times on the LTE network have been lower than T-Mobile's standalone 5G. And the 5G ping times have been as low as some of the ping times I've seen on a cable connection.
So you guys have good gear and good crews. You got good engineers. They're doing a nice job there.
But the reason why I think they're best positioned overall, though, is just from a raw money standpoint. Looking at where the money is going, who's investing the most, I think Verizon is best positioned for that sheer aspect. They're spending the most money.
Talking about ping times, I don't know if Stetson's still here, but my most recent next light speed test, less than 1 millisecond.
What am I going to get with my new fiber, Pete? What do you think?
3 to
I'm
4.
gonna bet
3
I
to
was going to
4?
say, yeah, 3 ping probably.
No, I think that Sneed is going to get actually 0 ping. The reason being is because I was looking into it a little bit. His adjacent fiber neighborhood is getting between 0.05 and 1.5.
So that'll be somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Well, I get 3 ping on my Fios connection.
What's your other one?
Comcast.
What do they give you?
Like
12.
7.
Oh, yeah, you're on cable. That's right. That one. Coax.
Yeah. Like 7 and 9.
Big shout out to BF MV. Appreciate the super chat. As a T-Mobile customer, I finally figured out the acronym meanings. LTE, less than efficient. UC, ultra crappy. Millimeter wave for MMW. All right, well, there you go. You guys got the acronyms for all those. Thanks, man.
But
Also, your ping will depend, though, if you get an AT&T server or not. I will just say, like, if I'm running a ping test to the local Verizon server, I get like 3. But if I do any other server, like let's just say it's CMU's college campus server, it'll be like 20 ping. So,
well, pinging a college campus for a speed test is a little laborious,
right,
due to the routing required to actually get to the test server.
Or it could be Google. It could be Google, like Google servers. It'll be like 15, 16.
Google servers are also a little laborious.
Hey,
Pete,
thanks,
my point is
Biden. Appreciate the second super chat, man.
Pete, my point is that it can be any server. It could literally be the Comcast server that's literally like not even like 2.5 miles.
Comcast isn't laborious. I'll give it that.
And it'll be like 20 ping with Verizon because of how the peering agreement is. But
so AT&T is number one, and will always beat everyone. So we got Dumb Biden, who is a big AT&T fan, a fan of what they're doing.
I am a fan of their well-roundedness. I am not a fan though of the fact of how they treat Android phones on their network.
Oh man,
Oh yeah,
they love their iPhones though. That everything rides with them.
Hey, the iPhone is the moneymaker. That's what gets the sheeple to the network.
So keep it wired.
Let me ask you this,
Expect
guys.
3-1.
I was having a
milliseconds.
conversation this week of, just with amigos, sharing some good thoughts. What's better, right? Consistent ping, like 15 consistent MS, or 20 consistent MS, or just the lowest possible at one period of time. But reality is that it jumps, right? So it's like you get 3 pings sometimes, and you
How
get
high does
5,
it
then you get
jump,
7,
though?
right?
How high does it jump?
Regardless of ping, what is best is if you have ideal routing to the services you use.
Quality of the connection.
As I pointed out on that Patreon podcast with Stadia with AT&T Home Internet and AT&T Mobility, how much extra crap you might have to go through to get to your content provider based on how your network connection is routed.
Which goes back to peering agreements and whether or not it's going over the internal network or having to go over the wider internet and so forth. But to answer your question, Moose, I'm a proponent of consistency in ping. And the reason for that is because I'm going to use the example of gaming. If you have your ping where it's enough variance jumping around, then you're going to get rubber banding effects, and that makes them unplayable. Whereas if the ping and latency is consistent, even if it was 100 milliseconds, you can adjust for that, and some things like lag compensation could be used to improve the experience, right? And there's other applications where that type of ping spiking is also poor. And also in a scenario where your ping is jumping like that, there's probably a very high probability there's probably packet loss also happening in that scenario, which is the death of all things.
I'm still saying what matters is proper peering.
Big shout out to PA Tech.
If we're talking proper peering, who do you think has the best peering agreements out of the ISPs? Cellular and traditional.
You mean wireline?
Yeah.
AT&T probably.
It depends on the service.
Yeah, it depends.
We cannot give a definitive answer. As I said in that podcast, Stadia not good for wireline AT&T.
Well, I know if you play Blizzard games, Comcast has better peering agreements than Fios.
Yep.
By like a lot.
My ISP has better peering between here in Europe than here in Japan.
Oh, now we're talking international. I was talking about stateside, but
hey, if my server is based in Japan, that's what matters to me.
Fair.
They have a better peering with their Netflix setup than they do Hulu, but Hulu is still pretty damn good.
Oh, Netflix is god tier. They have a literal like with Netflix on Comcast, they literally have their servers like in like the head ends. I don't know if you guys remember where Netflix had to pay Comcast to do that back in like 2016. It was like
my ISP pays Netflix to have their CDM and content delivery network in the breakout.
Well, it's the opposite. If you remember, the cable giants ganged up on Netflix back in 2016.
Third net for you, bro. Damn third net, bro.
What is third net?
Here in Ontario
hold on.
No service.
Hold on 1 second.
Third net.
Big shout out to PA Tech. Thanks for the super chat. All I gotta say is AT&T, 400 megabits per second, 4 carrier aggregation on LTE, 50 megahertz. Imagine that on 5G with more efficiency and a C-band channel of 80 megahertz. That'd be sweet.
Probably
Can't wait.
1.2, probably 1.2 gigabits per second. I'm betting.
Sure, easily.
But yeah, Moose. I don't know. Did you
Mhm.
agree with AT&T being best positioned? I can't remember if you
Well,
said that.
the only reason why I'm not leaning red on this one is because their market share is just dramatically dropping, man, across the board. I mean, we've talked about this, Sneed. We've talked about this. It's so crazy to see a carrier disintegrate before your eyes.
Dude, we've already covered this whole over exaggeration about Verizon disintegrating and everything is crashing down. Like, okay, so Moose, call a spade a spade. The last time we did predictions,
Right.
I said that they were going to add 200,000 customers. You said they
Mhm.
were going to lose 200,000, and it would be the first time ever where they would have
Twice.
consecutive quarterly losses.
Right.
And I told you that has never happened before. And you
Right.
said, I don't care, it's going to happen. And it did not happen.
Right. The facts are the facts, right?
Okay, so Moose, you can't you can't speak stuff into existence. It's unfounded. The things that you think are going to happen to Verizon are so unlikely.
They
Like,
might
let's
seem
look at it.
Yeah,
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
you said that they've been losing market share, which they have.
Correct.
It's slow, but it adds up over like 2, 3, 4 quarters. The kingdom is not crashing. Just like the same thing when everybody was saying AT&T's crashing, and I was like, you people are crazy. There are 3 major competitors right now in MNO. We're losing none of them. Like, I hope you guys understand this business, no matter what kind of deals they give us, it's profitable as hell. Because even with AT&T doing discounts and making their rates better and giving you this, that, and the third, they still have the second highest ARPU in the game. And it's not even close. Like AT&T's ARPU is almost $9 higher than T-Mobile's.
And I wanted to chime in and say, even if Verizon loses some consumer customers, they're gaining in the other areas that matter more with enterprise.
Hey, I appreciate it, Dump Biden. Thanks for the support, and I appreciate that. That's really nice of you. Thanks for the compliment.
I
gotta say his name every time. It's like Dump.
He's done 3 super chats, and I think that flag alone might demonetize us.
I hope it doesn't. Please, maybe consider the
making it a
avatar.
little more content friendly.
God bless Merc. We'll take one of those, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hey,
but
Tyrone,
no.
welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, damn.
The funny thing is that
Hey, what's up,
fist is
everybody?
actually the Black Panther symbol.
What about Wakanda Forever? Don't they do the X?
Yep.
How about we
But
just do
the
peace
fist
signs?
is Black Panther, which is an aggressive communist organization.
Well, I just use it as right on. You know what I'm saying? That's all I do.
How
Hey,
about
that's
just do
what
peace?
they did too.
Let's just do peace signs. No one can be mad about a peace sign.
Chunk of
Let-
deuce,
let
man.
me-
Chunk of deuce.
Dennis, ask the question to Tyrone as well. The which one the best positioned.
So Tyrone, I was asking, which wireless carrier do you think is best positioned for 5G, ignoring their plans, just focusing specifically on like infrastructure and spectrum assets?
Are we talking before these next 2 auctions or after?
Just based off everything we know up to this point, if you want to factor in the upcoming auctions, factor it into. Just in general, for the 5G era, who do you think is best positioned to dominate? Like Verizon dominated the LTE era. Who do you think is going to dominate the 5G era?
I would still have to say, I would still go with Verizon.
Bro, people believe in their plan. Like if you look at everything they want to do and how they plan on executing and how much they plan on spending, people are believers in that. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you look at it, Tyrone, but that's how I see it.
I'm a believer that Verizon's focusing on the thing that's going to need to happen regardless. Like, millimeter wave has to happen. Like, mid-band is good. It's an important component. but millimeter wave is the part that's the game changer overall, especially if we start talking about like 6G and beyond. Having those small cells and that density that comes about from it is the most important critical factor in providing an experience that you can't otherwise get.
Don't
So
get us
here's-
started on 6G.
So here's how I look at it. I think network slicing is right now the most important thing that's going to be happening with standalone 5G. I think network slicing is the most important thing. That being said, I think Verizon actually will do it best because of how much C-band they have and how much contiguous spectrum they have with that channel. So to me, I think AT&T is going to be doing like 80 nationwide. That's nice. And then they're going to have 40 megahertz of the Spectrum Auction 110. As opposed to Verizon, who is going to have 160, 180, or 200 of C-band. Contiguous. That matters. And that's where T-Mobile wants to be with the 2.5. With EBS and BRS, they want to be the same thing. That means they're going to have to go to this next auction 108 and clean up shop. And they're going to have to figure out what they're doing with all these subleases with all these other entities that have the EBS BRS. So they're basically going to have in spades this contiguous wide channel midband, and they're serious about millimeter wave. And Dennis, see, you didn't realize it until you tested it. That millimeter wave is real capacity. It's real. Like, people don't get it because they're not using it and they haven't tested it. It's like a really good dessert. You eat a piece and you're like, I need another piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not going to do. I need more of this. And it's true. It's going to get better with time because our modems are going to get better. The beam forming is going to get better. The hardware on the tower sites will get better. The channels will get wider. The signals will get more resilient. All those things are going to happen. There's so much potential with millimeter wave to make it enhanced. And I understand it's going to be limited for now, but pound for pound, you don't get capacity on anything else like millimeter wave. And that's where 80% of the population lives, is in cities. So spare me this talk about it ain't coming to rural America. Well, who cares? You don't need it there. I get it. But like, what about the 80% of us that live in cities that need millimeter wave when we go to stadiums, when we go to games, when we're at the university, when we're at a show, and there's freaking 20,000 people at a concert, like, we need it. Okay. Sorry. Excuse the 80% of 337 million people. Excuse us.
Well, Sneed, I mean, the thing that's cool about millimeter wave is this is more based off what Carlos was telling me, but the range seems to be relatively decent. Like, Carlos was saying,
it's surprisingly good, right?
Like, yeah. And here's the thing that's especially shocking. There are some, and I get this is about poor optimization, but there are some sites where N41 is so poorly optimized that the range on the millimeter wave was better.
Yep.
I'm not joking.
Ugh.
I'm not joking. So
I haven't seen it that bad, but I believe you. I'm not going to call you a liar. So
if that's the case of what T-Mobile's like 2.5 gigahertz looks like because of interference or whatever the reason, I don't care what the excuses, then put millimeter wave everywhere. Just let it be. If that's going to be what it is, I'd rather get short range that's really, really good than the pitiful excuse for what has been happening with certain cell sites with 2.5 gigahertz. So, plus, I will also just say it goes back to which one is the experience changer. Midband from T-Mobile currently, there hasn't been a single cell site that I've seen that's went past a gigabit. Everything has been within the realm of what I have seen or what LT has been capable of. Especially if we're talking outside the US, like South Korea. Like,
yep.
I'm talking years ago, South Korea was getting like close to a gig over LT advanced, right? So that's like this, like T-Mobile's 5G. It's really good. It's helping their network, but it's not doing anything that like didn't happen already. It's not treading new ground. Nothing about it. The latency isn't treading new ground. The downlink capacity isn't treading new ground. Even the uplink capacity isn't treading new ground, and that can change. Sneed talked, Beer Dragon talked about 2056 QAM. But if 2056 QAM becomes a thing, millimeter wave might have the potential to be close to 10 gig.
Yeah, but it's never going to work indoors from outdoors, right? It's going to need repeaters. And
the idea the idea they're having with ideal millimeter wave applications indoors involves having the transmit antennas cheap enough to just throw up new transmit antennas
Bro, whoever
and then
says
connect it to the backbone.
Well, I
whoever
mean,
says
there was
millimeter wave doesn't get into buildings, bro, tripping. I'm in the middle
Yeah,
of a
but-
casino getting 3 gigs down.
Yeah, but Carlos, that's the problem. The problem is getting it to be better, like not just within 10 or 20 feet of the entrance. We're trying to get it all the way
No, I'm
in.
talking about, bro, I was in the middle of the casino, in where the damn blackjack tables are, everything.
Are they using repeaters?
No, they are not.
See, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm looking at it like there are going to be solutions that are going to enhance the signal
would help.
propagation because they're going to take it and they're going to rebroadcast it essentially through echoes and pivots and all these other secondary items, and that will enhance the capacity range and getting it indoors.
Well,
Which
there's
is what they want to do with 5G on every spectrum to enhance throughput.
Well,
Sure.
I was gonna say there's been lab tests where they've been actually using consumer devices to retransmit the signal. Like your phone becomes the repeater. They've done testing in lab. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with it. Like I'm perfectly fine understanding what it's going to take. I just know right now it's supply, it's development, it's research, it's scaling, it's a lot of things. Like this conversation a year from now is going to be very different.
well, I'll
it's gonna
say
be like-
this. I'll say this, Sneed. I've seen it pop up on Highway 376. Like I'm talking random sporadic parts of the highway, which is not the city.
No, we got it here too. I can
Yeah.
I can drive by a random neighborhood on an overpass and pick it up.
So if it's making its
CBRS
way
and
out,
everything.
but my point is, if it's making out like that, and Verizon didn't even mark my city as a 5G city, I can only imagine what Cleveland looks like or
Yeah,
Columbus.
it's loaded. And you know what? Like Running Flame is saying a bit about AT&T having a higher percentage of traffic over millimeter wave. There's no way possible.
Nope.
I can literally count on two hands how many AT&T 5G Plus sites are in Cleveland. And I guarantee you I can look at the power meters that are on there, and it's probably single digits.
I can count on one hand how many times I've seen the icon.
Yeah. See, and Verizon, like people are running 5G home, 5G business, and mobility. They're getting used here a lot. So I would be surprised, Running Flame, if there's any credence to that. And I don't know who wrote the story or where you got the data from, but I'll take a look at it. That's pretty bold.
Hey, I got another question, and this is more geared towards Moose since he knows more about AT&T, I think. Has there been an issue ongoing with AT&T's network recently, or is that just something I've been localized experiencing?
What, you're talking about the texts?
Like I'm just talking about the service in general. Like I've noticed that my speeds with AT&T have been quite variable, like I've never seen before. Like I'll run a speed test, it'll start like 200 and it'll just drop to like 26 out of nowhere and just get stuck at 26.
Well, I mean, they're doing a lot of trials, right, to get the 5G core ready for standalone. That was supposed to be ready by October, so anything's possible at this point when they're going to launch it. And in terms of like starting at 200 and now at 26, that's a really telltale sign of congestion, man. That means that there's a lot of users on that network. If your peak is at 200, but you end up at 26.
Yeah, but I've never seen AT&T drop like that, like not ever. So it's abnormal. Plus the latency was weird. I posted on Twitter, like my ping time was like all over the place. I can see if I can pull it up real quick.
Big shout out to Alexis. Thank you for that super chat. I think Dish and AT&T understand how to leverage the 20 plus carrier backbones with intelligent routing based on performance and load shift. I think Dish for sure, because that's kind of going to be their claim to fame. They're coming into this greenfield 5G with no LTE restrictions, no legacy tech to upgrade. There's nothing really holding them back. They're writing their own book.
Nobody is going to sue them over decommissioning CDMA.
But they are
Oh,
doing the
wait.
suing, Pete. They are doing the suing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, wait, they're suing over that.
Oh my goodness.
So I put it in the private chat. Like this is the one post I put on Twitter just showing off how the latency is all over the place. Like I've never seen
Oh wow,
that.
jitter 610.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I feel like something's up. Like,
yeah.
That's why I was asking, since we got the Brainiac.
Well, I'm not getting the icons. Mine will still say 5GE, but I'm connected to a millimeter wave site.
Yo, Moose, what's going on over here in Ontario, bro?
Bro, we're getting a site over there in Ontario Mills, dog.
Thanks, Alexis. Appreciate the super chat.
By the way, we got Tyrone on the line. He had to call in because there's too many people. The Wi-Fi is unusable. But Tyrone, what else do you want to talk about the thing?
Well, I think he was asking who do I think is best positioned for 5G?
Yeah.
But I still think it's Verizon. Hands down.
So we're tied up then, 2-2.
Is Lawson a Costco?
Dude, how do you know? How do you know, bro?
Bro, you look like you're in a warehouse.
Bro, because I have to buy the stuff here, bro, because in Vegas they're out of water and all that stuff, bro. At the Costco's and Sam's Club and stuff.
By the way, hell yeah, Costco. Executive business members.
Yes, I love it, bro. Dude, all the networks besides Verizon suck here,
Thanks,
bro.
Austin. Appreciate it.
Verizon's the only carrier I can use right now. I tried T-Mobile. I was on ThirdNet first. Then I tried AT&T, then T-Mobile, and nothing, bro. Verizon's the only one holding up.
Yep.
Why is this, bro? Come on, man.
We're building a cell site. It's in February, dog. It's probably sometime in February.
But I'm in Ontario, though. I'm not in Rancho anymore.
Bro, that's the one on 4th Street and the 15. I know. That's still Rancho. That's still Rancho.
But still, bro. Come on, man. Come on, bro.
All right, so Running Flame, do you think Verizon goes 40 megahertz national at Spectrum Auction 110? Because I don't. I think they're going to pick their spots and go 30-40, maybe like the top 30 PAs of theirs. But that's probably the most I think they'll do. I think AT&T goes national 40. I say T-Mobile is going to pick a couple spots and do
They're
20.
going to supplement and probably try to go minimum block in a lot of places as well.
Verizon?
No, T-Mobile.
So like
Verizon is going to be roughly the same thing.
So you think it's going to be like CBRS for them?
Yeah.
Okay. See, that's what I thought too. But I think AT&T is going national 40.
Yeah.
And I think Dish is going to go national 20.
Or whatever Bezos wants to pay.
Oh, God. Bezos makes the call. Get 20.
Get the 20. I don't know how this stuff works. I still use a flip phone. Lowe's, don't forget to pick up some chicken thighs.
Yeah, and get the 86 pack. Get the 86 pack of hot dogs, bro, with the buns too.
Nah, bro.
No.
Because I'm doing that. I'm doing cooking this weekend. I'm doing that this weekend.
I'm probably gonna defrost some of my thighs and cook them up Sunday.
Yeah, bro. I already got that. I got that back. What was it? Tuesday.
Nice. Sneed. Costco sells a 30 pack of Hebrew National hot dogs.
The best, dude.
They answer to a higher authority.
They do. Kosher. Keep it kosher, homie.
Ballpark Angus beef Franks.
The Franks? Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not as good as Hebrew National.
I think Pete's right. I think in the hierarchy of sausages, hot dogs and such, I think it's Hebrew National, top tier, and then I think it's the Ballpark Franks and like Nathan's and all that. Right.
Yeah.
Bro, I mean, if we really want to get up there and being fancy, bro, you got to get the hot dogs with the legit skins where like when you bite into it, it actually makes that snap and pop.
Oh, and it snaps. Yeah.
Yeah. But here, you titled the show. Why don't we talk about Verizon's massive contract, Sneed?
Hold up, one last thing. Lois, have you tried J-Dogs and Provo?
Can we talk about Pete's background real quick? How he's like in the forest?
Fire, bro.
It is fire.
Bro. Yes.
I can't tell
You're
what's
missing out.
hung behind him.
Hey, Steve, if you haven't tried it, bro, you're missing out. It's fire, bro.
Wait,
Listen, I remember the arguments we had
close.
about Del Taco and what a burger and all that other nonsense you guys
Bro,
were on
In and
for a
Out,
while.
baby.
Joes,
Get out of here with that.
J-Dog
This
is
is trash,
swine.
bro. Trash.
In and out, dog. In and out.
Five Guys
No.
is better than In and Out.
We're not taking Sneed to J-Dogs.
Bro, you got to keep
Why-
in mind, though. You got to keep in mind. Listen, the reason, because the Hebrew National are kosher, so you know
Yep.
what you're working with. It ain't playing no games here.
It's a hot dog, Sneed.
No,
There ain't nothing kosher about it.
it's a kosher hot dog.
Kosher dogs, bro.
Actually, most of my food is kosher or halal.
Yeah, when you go that, it's higher quality, Dennis. See, you got to look at it from quality. It's important to certain people when it comes to those. Bro, I
Well,
won't eat
kosher-
hot dogs often. So if I'm going to do it, it has to be a really good one.
Well, halal
Exactly.
and kosher has to do with the preparation. Like with halal, like
And
it
the
has to do with-
quality of ingredients.
Well, no, you can have something that's halal and still have poor quality ingredients. Like it has to do with the preparation. Like if you're like slaughtering like an animal,
Right.
like about how it's killed, and like I don't know all the details. 'Cause I'm not a super religious man. But
Yeah,
like,
but that's right. No, you're
Yeah.
right, Dennis.
Yep.
That's true.
But most of the time, I find they have higher quality ingredients and less preservatives.
Yo, what's up for the faux free crew? What up? 2 phones for free, man. What's going on,
I got 3 phone lines for free. It was nice.
Yeah,
So with the free lines.
Not sure about Johnsonville. I haven't had them, but I have seen commercials.
They have too much sugar in them.
Sheesh.
we're turning this into a food podcast.
Sneed, one of these days we need Pete and Sneed over hibiscus for a food podcast.
Listen, I'm thinking about making a dedicated podcast channel, but it's not going to be tech related at all. It's literally going to just be an anything podcast. And I'm thinking about giving it just a day, 1 hour a week to just do a 1 hour live show. And maybe it'll be like Sundays at 9 p.m. And that's it. And literally I'll send the link out to any of you guys. And we could talk about absolutely anything, and it's not going to be for kids. There's going to be absolutely no restrictions. I don't even care if it ever gets monetized or not. Literally 1 hour to just whatever.
Me
Oh,
complaining
man.
about the Knicks.
You could complain about the Knicks. You could.
Can I rag on the Browns?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do that too. Like when if they're getting smacked around earlier in that Sunday, I'll come and vent. Yeah.
So we've talked about AT&T's fiber advantage thanks to Dennis's question. Do we have more information on T-Mobile getting sued by Dish for getting rid of bad networking tech?
You know what this is going to end up, how it's going to play out, Pete? They're going to bring back Neville's testimony, and it's going to backfire.
Oh yeah.
That's really the only issue I see in it. I don't care about CDMA. I hate CDMA. I hate anything legacy. I'm trying to move on too. But what people don't understand is that they specifically asked Neville in testimony, is there spectrum on 3G or CDMA that you need in the next 3 years? And he said no. So he made this bed. That's on him. But I have but here's the thing, Pete, and I think this is probably I'm like 70% confident in this. I don't think this is Neville's issue. I think this is Eugene. I think he's pushing the issue, trying to sabotage Dish. Even though Dish doesn't need to be sabotaged, they're always going to be playing from behind. They don't need to be sabotaged, right? They're a small company that hasn't even started yet. They've got 8 million customers in Boost. So honestly, I think it's Eugene trying to sabotage and bury Dish. So Neville just happens to be the scapegoat. And I wouldn't be surprised if Neville was gone in a year, whether it's on his own accord or he's pushed out by sweaty armpits.
I wouldn't mind him being a mentor, but I do think, as I've said many times, he's aged out of his position.
So I'm gonna come in with a sort of spicy-ish take / devil advocate take. just because I feel like we're all going to end up agreeing. I personally believe that having the CDMA place didn't really affect T-Mobile's mission at all. Like, they have lots of spectrum they could have been using anyway to improve the network, and it was fine. The only way I could see needing to do the shutdown early on CDMA is if they were taking an AT&T one-touch policy kind of style approach, where like they were upgrading literally everything with one set of cell site. But that's not how T-Mobile has been operating, and that's never how they've been operating. They visited like multiple times. So them leaving the CDMA up wasn't really hurting them. And as we've seen, they're not even finished deploying the 2.5 gigahertz they have, right? There's still markets where they only have 60 megahertz deployed, 80 megahertz deployed, right?
They're still stepping north in my market. Like every 3 or so weeks, I find another site north with 41 on it.
So that's kind of my mindset. And plus, too, like when we're talking about CDMA, like we're talking like maybe like 2.5 megahertz wide channel would do the trick. Like it doesn't have to be something wild, right? Like they could literally just have the guard bands going and it was fine. Like Edge barely used anything. It was literally just operating on the guard band. Like I'm just saying it wasn't like, it's not like it was the biggest waste of resource in the world. Like you can cut back on it and still have it operating so that people could still make a phone call, you know?
Actually,
Wait.
you can use
What was the question? What was the spiciness? I don't get the
spiciness was that I was defending Dish and that I was being okay with CDMA and older technologies existing.
Bro, I defend Dish and people get mad at me. They say that like I stand by agreements. I'm a man of my word. So when I tell somebody something, I will not go back on it. I will follow through. So when companies in the name of business are allowed to do sneaky, conniving, and uncouth things, I call them out on it. And people will say things because they like a certain carrier that's pink. They will say things like, oh, it's okay, it's business. Well, it wasn't okay when it was business from Verizon. And it wasn't okay you called out AT&T when they did something like this, but you don't want to call out T-Mobile. How does that make any sense? You're a hypocrite. Call a spade a spade. Stand on one side and stick with that all the way through.
I still think the way T-Mobile should have handled decommissioning the CDMA is getting replacement signal in the sites that depend on it and getting some of those people phones.
And you know what people are saying, Pete? Dish should have to pay additional to keep that spectrum running. How does that make any sense? If it wasn't for the merger, then they wouldn't have to worry about anything. Sprint would still be operating it.
They also would not have had Boost, and they would have been paying the furrow fines.
100% fact. But that's between them and the FCC, not between them and T-Mobile.
Real quick, we got 2 super chats in.
Let's do it. Go ahead, Pete.
PA Tech says, I bought my iPhone 13 Pro outright from Best Buy with a trade-in to Best Buy. Now AT&T is making me wait 60 days for unlock. Boo. I even called retentions. And I don't know.
They hang up on you?
No, his next comment said they won't unlock it, but I don't know, PA. Was it initially locked to AT&T, or did you get an unlocked model? Next up is $2 super chat from Austin Schwartz. My market, there's still LTE 71 5 megahertz only towers.
No,
I've encountered
N71?
this in my market.
No N71?
Some of them only have B71. However, they also have 10 megahertz of 2.
Pete, somebody sent me a screenshot. 40 megahertz of N71.
Jesus.
Oh, hot.
So how they're doing that? Those are the markets that have the Columbia Capital lease.
Yep.
And the native. So they're getting some wide stuff.
So apparently Best Buy only sells locked phones, and PA Tech looked out and chose the AT&T one, although I think Verizon would still charge her make them wait 60 days for an unlock.
Real
Wolf,
quick,
$5 says Edge is the real goat. Fire.
I'll get to that in a second. For this one here, the range, I kind of agree with that. I think it is just like the 700, but the 850 noticeably doesn't get the same range as the 700 or the 600. So,
Yep.
just saying, my experience, I've seen, like, if the RSRP on band 13 is like negative 75, the 850 is like minus 81. Like, it's noticeable.
So
Actually, the PCS is just a little bit off from the 850 in my experience. It's really close.
Except for in the rain.
so
Is that real?
Yeah. There is
Wow.
there is 1.3% coverage loss, which is virtually indistinguishable if they have the network dense enough.
So let's ask Tyrone the same question, Dennis, that you were asking. Tyrone, you there? Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm here.
So what do you think about the situation with the CDMA lawsuit?
Well, I mean, I put it very simple, and this is what I tell people all day long. T-Mobile's trying to kill Dish before they get started, and they're already behind. And we can see this already with short-term history. What happened in the Chantel territory? As soon as Mike Sievert smelled that Dish wasn't moving customers to newer phones, he sent out trucks and said, "Hey, Boost customers, you come to T-Mobile. We'll take you in. We'll give you free phones."
$25 lines, right, Tyrone?
Yep, $25 lines, free phones, and now
free 5G phone. Yep.
Hey,
by
that's
shutting
better.
down.
Continue.
Yeah, but by now shutting down the CDMA network, they're going to do the same thing, just on a larger scale.
Hey, on the topic of phones, real quick, did you guys see Boost Mobile's deal for their 5G phone, their exclusive 5G phone?
Oh yeah, that MediaTek
Solaire.
is making me weak in the knees.
Is that what it's running as a MediaTek?
What's the processor, Pete? What model?
I didn't read. I just noticed MediaTek. My brain stroked out for a minute.
Well, the Verge
Pete,
article
friends
was
don't
saying it
let
was
friends
Snap-
MediaTek.
Well, hold
I
on,
know,
man.
right?
Or not Verge. I think it was Fierce Wireless that said it was going to be a Snapdragon.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Snapdragon 690.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that
Okay.
that is the one of the dumbest phones they could have ever released, because it only serves T-Mobile. And if that dispute doesn't end well, and T-Mobile does shut off the CDMA network on Dish, they're going to end that fucking partnership, and they're going to look for an AT&T variant of that same phone, and then the customer's going to be like, "Well, I just bought this phone. Now you want me to buy this phone too?"
Okay, so I think what Tyrone is bringing up
He
is
has a
valid,
point.
but I think the Solero 5G is a Dish Boost Mobile T-Mobile access phone. They're
Yep.
going to need an AT&T version of that phone with N77.
They're gonna need
and
AT&T version of that phone when they start selling AT&T SIMs.
which is in 2 weeks.
So you
I don't
guys
think
are
MediaTek can churn them out that fast.
again. It's supposed to be Snapdragon, but so you guys took a totally different approach than how I looked at it. I was expecting a happy, positive story here because of how good the value was, where they're basically paying you for a year's worth.
No,
because
the
they're giving
value's
you-
good.
Yeah,
The value's good.
Yeah.
The value's great.
but also I was gonna say, I mean, as far as the AT&T access goes, we don't know if it's not gonna have AT&T bands. That's not confirmed, is it?
It was
Yeah,
on
it's
that
confirmed.
release.
No, it has bands. It has full band support for all things LTE. It doesn't have N77. So if we're talking about, because what are we really talking about with AT&T 5G in the future? We can only comment on N77. The
And
N29 is not there. The N12 is not there.
we don't know how long it will take Dish to deploy N71 as well. It's not like they can easily throw it on AT&T's.
It's up, Pete. Every market that's getting done has it up.
Well,
Dish already did that?
Yeah, Carlos has it in Vegas. Carlos, could you speak to it, please?
Okay, so they only have it in Vegas then.
Well, that's going to be their first market.
Go Raiders.
Raiders Mobile.
No, Fire Mobile, brought to you by the Vegas Raiders.
Pete's not really optimistic on Dish Wireless. Like, I'm optimistic. Pete's like, nah, dude.
Pessimistic.
Pessimistic.
I was just gonna say, but this was the golden
Ryan.
solution that we wanted from Dish, though, right? Like we wanted them to get people to get off these old phones.
Thanks,
Yep.
Akivo.
So just to read a brief paragraph of what the CEO of Boost said about this device. There will be multiple batches of this phone, with the first batch being targeted at T-Mobile's network only, and then at a later time there will be another variant of this device that will target AT&T and Dish 5G compatibility coming in the future.
Hey guys, do you think this comment from Dump Biden is right? Do you think T-Mobile's insecure about what's going on? Really?
I don't see a world in which Dish beats T-Mobile anytime soon.
Bro, T-Mobile's already 105 million customers.
I don't even see Dish beating T-Mobile in that Roomba that the Raiders playing.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dish can't even touch Metro by T-Mobile right now.
Let alone the entire Fire Wireless.
I was gonna say I've said this before, but I look at Dish basically being a play for a buyout. Get big enough, get bought out. Like
That's why I call them Fire Mobile.
Fire sale. The Solero has 4 gig of RAM, 64 storage. It's entry level. 4 gig of RAM, 6 like bare minimum. 8's better. 64 storage. I mean, even iPhone killed off 64 gig storage.
It's expandable though. So
Oh, it is? Okay.
yeah,
Well,
it's expandable storage.
you're gonna have to get like a terabyte SD card and then format it as internal, and then you're golden.
I mean, dude, the phone.
It won't support a Tera. You're going to be looking at 256 max.
Nah, come on.
Nah,
man.
it'll be
512 at
512.
least.
It'll be
Come on,
512.
man.
But
Dang, Pete.
I mean, dude, it's a decent phone. I mean, you're basically getting it for free. Like,
Hey, did you guys vote in the poll today? Dennis, did you vote? Pete?
the one on
That
YouTube.
was the second vote cast.
Yeah, I
All right,
voted.
guys. Go ahead and vote if you haven't. I posed the question: how important is owning and running fiber to a wireless telco? I'm going to go ahead and end that poll here.
My
and we're gonna
comment, my first comment was, wait, you can run a telco without fiber?
I
I
mean,
mean, we know T-Mobile is trying, but
well, that's the thing. That's we've kind of
they're
identified
running
that
on
as
a
their
gimp
weakness.
leg.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
could fix that. See, the thing is, it's an easy problem they could fix with money. Like,
Sure.
Yeah, which is why I'm waiting for DT to buy out Lumen.
They ain't gonna do it, Pete. They're strapped for money. They're borrowing cash.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for my 16
But it is for fiber,
stocks
you're
in
saying?
Lumen to become T-Mobile stock, sextupling in value.
All right, we're gonna end the poll. Let's get the numbers. All right, let's see. Book 'em, Danny. What do we got? We have, and it looks like a majority of you said it was crucial. All right, the poll is complete. 134
Nice.
votes. Thank you, guys. It says here, crucial. Fiber is the ace of spades, 69%. Somewhat important at 20%, not important at 9%. So
69%. Nice.
nice.
So that adds up to 99%. What did the other 1% say? I'm going to take a dump.
Yeah.
I did
Dropping dukes.
I'm gonna surprise you. I did somewhat important.
No, 98%.
Yeah, I wonder why we didn't get the right numbers on this.
Yeah,
Yeah, we literally got 98%. So it must be
2%
rounding
said I'm
down.
taking a dump.
Yeah, it's rounding down on each of those categories. But,
Yeah, but
thanks for the votes. 134 votes.
Yeah, but see, I'm gonna surprise you. I did somewhat important. I think having your own fiber is good for diversification of income and also future opportunities, like focusing on enterprise solutions and that kind of thing. But I don't think it's the end all be all. Like every single carrier, to some extent, at some
but
point is going to
Dennis,
buy.
what's the most important thing in operating a telco? I feel like it's ARPU.
So,
Like what's hurting T-Mobile right now is the simple fact that their ARPU is just slightly above prepaid. Prepaid's at 31%. Their ARPU is it's prepaid is what, $20 to $31. I think T-Mobile's at $37 still, aren't they? 38
hey,
maybe now.
Sneed,
But how's that relation? Like, because like they could generate more revenue in other ways. That doesn't
How
necessarily.
they give away free lines? How do they generate more revenue? You get what I'm saying? Like the way they run business, just based on the moves they make, right, to be competitive, puts them at a disadvantage, and then to not be the owner of what you're deploying. Remember, Spectrum only deploys fiber wirelessly. That's what Spectrum is, right? So if the basis of your network is fiber, right, at the end of the day, if you don't own it, you're leasing. When you don't own your building and you're paying someone to rent a building, you're subjected to their rules, which could be the cost, which could be the availability or whatever. So AT&T is an owner, which is why I give them their advantage, which is why their ARPU is so freaking high, even with them being aggressive and now a growth company. Like
So-
they're very close to making almost as much per account as Verizon, and they are more aggressive in promotions than Verizon.
So I just want to say, like, having owned fiber and an ARPU, I feel like are two separate things, though, right? Like, if T-Mobile didn't do the free line stupidity stuff, right, their ARPU would obviously be higher, right? Like, just like that, get rid of free lines on people's accounts.
Well,
boom,
the
you got
question
more.
becomes is how many people are willing to pay for those free lines? That's really the question.
But also, like, my main thing is like the cost to operate your own fiber. Like, there is inherent cost to go into it from like a maintenance side of things, right? Like, there are costs that go into it. When you're leasing it, it's not your problem. Like, it's not your problem at all. Like, yeah, you have to spend money, and I'm sure it's more expensive because those tier 1 ISPs are going to want to make a profit on it. But I feel like the cost difference is probably not that dramatically substantial. It might be like $5,000 difference, maybe. Per
Wait,
month.
what?
I don't know.
what?
Is it more than 5,000?
Say that again. Say that whole thing again about the 5,000.
I'm saying the difference in cost. Like, it might be a $5,000 difference
Woo!
between.
No. Way more amount of money, dude.
Like, how much more? Like, what are we
Okay.
You're
talking?
looking at that per site.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying for a single cell site, like the difference in cost, it might be like 5,000.
Okay.
And they have 80,000 sites.
But
That's not including small cells.
Keep in mind this. There is no way that any carrier, Dish, T-Mobile, that's leasing something is going to be getting a better deal just because you are going to bring over X amount more sites. It's going to be the same price. They're going to go for the lowest bidder possible. Like, as an example, if you do dedicated internet from any telecommunications company, it's going to be a lot of money for a 10 gig up and down.
dude, I know what I know. Like, I know 100 megabits per second enterprise would have ran me like $350 a month. Like, that's for 100 by 100 enterprise.
Right.
So I get it, but I'm not saying they're getting a better deal. I'm saying it'd be like 5,000 more than just doing it themselves, which I'm saying, like, in the grand scheme of costs is pretty negligible. Like, if you think about how many people you could potentially have for a single macro site, and if you think about the maintenance costs and the other things that go inside of it, it's a negligible difference in cost. Like, I'm saying,
Yeah,
you
but
can
AT&T's running fiber for home, fiber to business, fiber to sites. It's a big winner.
Fiber to decadent capitalist parties.
Okay, but that goes into a different aspect of things, though, right? Like, that's
Sure.
the part where it gives you the diversification of revenue, which is important. But we're talking about, is it important for a carrier to actually operate a cell phone network? And I'm saying, like, somewhat.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So Ryan brought up something interesting about Dish in this entire fiber game. Unlike T-Mobile, they actually own zero fiber.
Well, look what Dish is doing, Pete. They're leveraging each company deal against the other. Like, they took
Yes.
the T-Mobile rate and then took it to AT&T and said, beat this.
But when they're off MVNO status for good rates,
Right.
Are they going to be selling to Comcast?
No. Maybe. I don't know. You think they will?
Hey, I'm just saying random cable cartel. It could be Cox.
You think they're willing to you think they're willing to work with them?
I mean, I don't think they would care, but
I think they're going to try to get the hemorrhaging of money required after the agreements end to stop at the most expeditious way necessary.
Thanks, Texas.
So-
Marine. Appreciate the super chat.
This is the thing that I was thinking. So when Dennis was saying that, in the short term, sure, you could be saving, $5,000.
no, I'm saying it'd be 5,000 more expensive. I'm saying
Right. So, but over the course of how long are we talking about?
No, I'm saying that T-Mobile's not saving anything. I'm saying it's more expensive for them, but I'm saying
I get what you're saying now. Yeah. So
but I'm saying the cost difference is negligible. Is what I'm
No,
saying.
that's not negligible. Look at that comment.
Yep. Per month. That's also versus how much does it cost to just build it once, and the maintenance is significantly less than that build.
You're looking for maintenance, maybe $10 a quarter per kilometer.
Well,
when
if
a carrier,
T-Mobile, sorry,
I was gonna say when a carrier does not want to be an owner, that screams sellout to me. Like there's a piece of them that wants to sell. If you don't want to be the owner of what you distribute, so like if we're gonna say that Dish wants to sell and looking for a buyout, then we need to keep the same energy and say T-Mobile is too, because they don't own any fiber.
They do own some fiber
from the Sprint acquisition, but it's not.
What fiber are you guys talking about? They don't.
What about the layer 3 fiber in DC as well?
What are they doing with it, Pete? Are they using it? Like, is that for their network?
It's for the network, and the layer 3 is still residential.
Have we seen any growth since the layer 3 acquisition 4 years ago?
They cannot build out the as per the agreement, they cannot build out the fiber from the layer 3. So it's just in that city.
Do they have any plans? Does anybody know anything? Because I haven't heard anything internally, externally. That thing in Manhattan.
Yeah, we're talking about put it into context here because people got lost. We're talking about the T-Mobile fiber. T-Mobile fiber.
Yeah. Yes. What I'm trying to say is Verizon has a plan of expanding their fiber footprint. They're running more miles of fiber.
T-Mobile should really be building out their fiber.
Exactly.
This is the Sprint acquisition of fiber.
This is what I'm talking about.
Park.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, if you're going to say that Dish is looking to sell out, keep that same energy and say that about T-Mobile too, because they're not doing anything with fiber. What have they done that screams to you they're going to be here for 20 years building out fiber?
I'm not saying
that would be nice.
I'm not saying they're going to do that, but what I'm saying is like, all right. So let's just say we're in T-Mobile shoes, right? Let's just say the cost to run fiber out to a cell site is $50,000. Does that sound like a fair number to anybody? $50,000 to run fiber to a cell site?
No. Typically,
it's a little low.
Typically, to run a fiber, depending on how far away the nearest strand is, it could be upwards of $100K to $500K, depending on how many. Like, if you have to dig it all under the ground versus aerial, that changes the money factor.
Okay, so $500K, we'll go with that number. Okay, and we said in my example that it's like a $5,000 more expensive to them, which means that in order to get that return on investment so that it even matters, it would take...
Pays for itself in 10 months.
How do you get 10 months out of that?
No, 100 months.
100 months, which translates into how many years? 100 months is 8 and some change years in that scenario.
You're nowhere near that telegraph line the AT&T customers randomly get charged for.
So in eight months' time, right? Do you think there's not going to be like a more efficient way, or you don't think data costs would come down for because like bandwidth consistently per megabyte has come down?
Okay. So if you always say, I'm going to wait another month, then you end up saying, I'm going to wait another year. Then you end up saying, I'll wait another decade. This is a vicious cycle. The most successful companies right now are owning and running their own fiber.
They go to
you
the
want to talk
bank.
about, yes, you want to talk about missing the boat. Like, this is a clear indication that they're not that serious about telco. Like, they're serious about their business, but the dedication it takes to building fiber is crucial. This is why AT&T and Verizon still remain in their own league in that respect, right? You have all this wireless growth by T-Mobile over the last decade, and what has it earned them? They went from 11% market share to 17% under John Legere. That is incredible and unprecedented, and it's still next to nothing. It wasn't until the merger is when they became, and that had nothing to do with their growth, right? And now what? Now there's no growth. Who are you going to take from? Sprint's gone.
You
T-Mobile-
need to build out the fiber to get that good 10, 50 gig backhaul to all your sites, and then you can judiciously pluck customers from Fire Mobile.
I
They
mean,
don't have anything.
But no, they got the prepaid people, and they were like, man, the Fiber Mobile tower, what the beef?
I mean, the part of me
There's
that
no
wants,
beefcake.
I mean,
I'm
the
going
part,
to mint.
the part of me that wants more ISPs in competition would love to see T-Mobile do fiber. And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
in a long term, I'm talking more long term than 8 years. It makes sense because it's helping you reduce your costs overall in the very
Exactly.
long term, which
Right.
is how you increase some level of profitability.
And
But
it
the
raises
question,
stock.
but the
Right.
question, but the specific question was, is it absolutely necessary to run a cell phone network? And I'm saying that you can run a cell phone network without actually having to own every component of it. is what
I
I'm saying.
think
Sure.
that
Sure.
T-Mobile is going to realize after this introduction to 5G, once they have to get to 25 gig backhaul, 50 gig backhaul, they are going to be forced to build
And
out
Neville's
their own
gone by
fiber.
then, Moose.
Yep.
Neville is gone by then.
Yeah, Neville's way gone, but I feel like by the point that they have to upgrade from 10 gig to anything higher backhaul, that's when they will be forced to build their own fiber because the rates already for 10 gig backhaul are insane.
10
way
gig,
more.
it depends on where you're looking though. Like 10
So-
gig, you can get a 10 gig connection from like municipal fiber providers for.
But again, we're not talking about
150.
municipal providers. We're talking about nationwide fiber providers. We're talking about Comcast, Spectrum, Lumen, aka CenturyLink, AT&T, and Verizon, the top 5. And the reason why is because if you bring in X amount of thousands of sites, they can give you a slightly better deal than the regular rate, a wholesale rate. So we're never gonna go do a 10 gig municipal broadband just because it's a one-off or a couple off. No. It has to be holistically seen from a much, like 100,000 feet up. Okay, if Verizon is going to give me this deal, let's shop around and see what Lumen is going to do. That's how they're doing it. But at a certain point, it's still going to be so expensive and it's going to be so brand new, the 15 gig, 20 gig, 25 gig, 50 gig backhaul. There's no negotiation for price. It's you pay it or else. That's it.
Well, by the time they need 40 gig, it's probably going to come down in cost to what 10 gig was, right? As far as like cost coming down, right? Like going back to what I said about cost per megabit dropping, like it wasn't that long ago where gigabit, like on an enterprise level, was as expensive as 10 gig is today. Like,
Yeah, but are you sick and tired of N41 sites being congested?
I
Oh,
am.
yeah.
Okay.
But again, it
Bro,
could be
they
fixed
are
by just
here.
throwing some money. Like literally, all they'd have to do is be like, "Here's some more money." And then someone at the head end would literally be like, "Okay, let me unplug this from this gigabit port over to this 10 gigabit connection right here." Here we
Doesn't
go.
work that way.
It really can be that easy. Like head ends are small. Well, in the grand scheme of things, they're small.
All right, we're gonna play a game. Fill in
Hold
the
up.
blank.
Let me grab
I'm gonna
some
start-
stuff.
I'm gonna start with Dennis. This is a fill in the blank game.
Okay.
All right, Dennis. All right. I had a good one and I just forgot it, man. It was if T-Mobile scales fiber in the next 5 years, their stock does what?
Goes up.
Goes up.
Yeah.
All right, Moose. I'll extend the same statement to you. If T-Mobile scales out fiber, their stock goes
Down.
Oh my god!
Because they're going to get into more debt. That's something that we forgot to talk about.
Okay. Pete.
Yeah. That
Real
remember,
quick,
how much debt do they have now?
This does 1 gig.
He's about to pull the 10 gig.
This does 25.
Yeah, it's an SFP plus port. They're not going to be using that crappy Ethernet cable at a head end.
No, they don't. They use these large barrel things.
Well, actually, most head ends are gonna, like, if it's a fiber, they're gonna have just fiber straight up into it. Like it'll go right, or they'll use SFP. But I'm saying it's simple as moving it. Like I won't get super nerdy, but like I've been inside of a head end before. Like I know what they look like, and they really do have it. Just like some of them really do just have it where it's like that. Like here's the consumer accounts that are on gig. Here are the connections for like 10 gig.
All right, Pete, you ready?
Real quick, I got these from my NAS.
If T-Mobile scales fiber, their stock does what? Increases. All right, I think so too. So Moose says drops. Dennis says rises. You say rise. I say rise. Okay.
I'm doing
happens.
an
All right, we're gonna-
exaggerated rise, by the way.
or nothing happens. It just stays the same. That's also something.
Yeah, but it's an investment into like assets that matter in the business. You know, it's like investing in the company. What if they invested in the company that made their stock go up? It was absorbing a carrier, getting all of their assets, getting all of the customers, increasing revenue, market share, Spectrum Holdings, and eliminating a competitor. Their stock skyrocketed. It went from $80 to $120 overnight.
Let's look at AT&T stock real quick for a sec.
Let me
Which
pull
I
up.
feel like is
it still $27?
Yeah,
Oh.
which I feel like it's definitely undervalued. But let's take a moment to look at it, okay?
Let's see how much I have in AT&T real quick. shall we?
AT&T peaked back in 1999 at like $58, okay?
So that's
And
where
it's-
Verizon is right now, around there.
And it has consistently went down. Yet AT&T, I mean, there was a trip up in 2016 era, but overall, AT&T has done what, Sneed? They've invested and they've expanded their fiber. But it doesn't
I
equate-
have
No,
about
but
$55
the stock
in
is where-
AT&T stock. Lifetime since I've bought it, I've lost $1.50.
The AT&T stock plummeted because of the media. It had nothing to do with wireless or wireline.
But what I'm saying is that the stocks are a poor indicator of what the health of the business is. Like they can be two different things. Like
Sure. Yeah,
like
I agree.
what I'm saying is like what's good for the company isn't necessarily going to be what makes shareholders happy and want to buy a stock. What shareholders want are high dividend payouts or stuff like that, right? Or stock purchase or buyback of stocks to make the stocks artificially get higher. But it doesn't mean the company magically got better at the core. Which is why I bought a bunch of AT&T stocks. Like I feel like it's undervalued. I think
It very much is.
It is.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm buying it. Like every time I get some extra spare money, I'm throwing at AT&T stock right now because I feel like it's going to go up to like 55.
The problem is today's investor looks at AT&T as a dinosaur. And then most people get it because it's a high dividend stock. But the company has been growing for a year consecutively, like each quarter. So I think when the market starts to realize this, then we start to see the volume increasing. I think AT&T should do some share buybacks. I think they should cut the dividend in half, if not more, focus on the growth of the price of the share as opposed to we're just going to keep the dividends high so we keep these people. I say lose the people that bought you for a dividend. And retain the good investors who understand they'd like to see their value go up.
So when a company does share buybacks, it's in my mind, it's the biggest waste of money possible. And also, as far as dividends go, I'd actually be happier if a company had a smaller percentage. If it meant that the company was taking that money to say pay off their debt, for example, or put money aside for a rainy day, like when COVID happened. Like, look at the
but Dennis, you know what you could do if you cut dividends? You could pay off debt.
Oh yeah,
right.
And that's actually a tax break if you think about it. The dividends are a tax burden. They're really hard on taxes.
Right, but I'm saying it's a combination of the two. I'm saying they shouldn't do stock buybacks and they should cut the dividend to focus on paying down the debt.
Why not do both?
I'm saying
like make it like a 5-year plan to do it. So yeah.
Right. Don't put money towards buying back stock. That's a waste. And cut the dividend to pay off the debt.
No, man, you got to do both. I think you should cut the dividend and then do the share buybacks and pay off some debt. I think you should have a plan, and they have done this. They have decreased that by, I think, $12 billion in the last year. So that's doable. They're trying to be, I think, down $20 billion by the end of this year.
Didn't they drop a lot of that debt into that spin-off company that they own 70%?
They saved $14 billion or $16 billion. Or no, maybe more.
AT&T has healthy cash flow, which is why I'm not worried about the debt. But on the same token, look at an industry to look at, two industries to look at, okay, because they did totally different things. Let's look at the airline companies and let's look at like the cruise line companies, okay? Cruise line companies regularly put money aside because they know how the industry goes, which is why during COVID, even though things that got hit hard, they had money to like burn through. Whereas companies like, say, the airline companies, what did they do when times were good? They did stock buyback, what you're talking about, Sneed. And so when COVID happened, they asked screwed.
Me for money.
Yeah, they were totally screwed and had to rely on the government for a bailout.
And
but that was industry-wide. That wasn't just one airline.
For that, I want my United tickets and free checked baggage, but that ain't gonna happen.
My point is that when the times are good, AT&T should not be doing stock buybacks, but putting that money back into the company, like the infrastructure investments that you talked about, even though it doesn't please stakeholders, paying off debt, more importantly, and doing these kinds of things. So when times get bad, or if they need to make a large purchase for a crucial spectrum license auction that comes up, they have the money in spades.
But how do times go bad when your assets are valued over $300 billion? You're the biggest company in your industry. I mean, their industry is because they do full wireline and wireless. So they're not really. They've never moved to anybody else's drum. Like it's always been their own.
I'll give you two ways in which things go bad for the ISP market. One is that actual competition happens, which drives down their actual profit margins that they make. Because right now they're ridiculous.
But they're growing, Dennis. They're doing volume.
Well, I'm saying but they can drive volume, but I'm saying profit margins might come down where there's like a stagnation in overall revenue generated.
So
you think that's going to happen during this government-funded program for wireline?
I'm saying not now at this exact moment, but maybe about 6 to 7 years down the line, I think we start seeing revenue decrease across the board. I think there's going to be a push downwards in pricing.
So I just sent Sneed this link that I wanted to discuss because it is something relevant to the conversation. Sneed, if you can go to that link that I sent you and put it on the screen, go to page 13. This, what we're about to show, is from Deloitte. Okay, they're a investment and research firm, and they had this conversation of what are telecommunication companies going to look like in 9 years, so at the next decade, right, 2030. And it's very interesting because, Sneed, are you ready for the picture?
Moose, I don't know how you shared it. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. Go to page 13. So this view that Deloitte is talking about is what the telecommunications companies are going to be like in 2030. They're predicting that there's 4 scenarios that the telecommunications companies are going to be potentially like, and this is very interesting. So if you can zoom that in a little bit, Sneedman. Zoom it in a little bit more. Sneedy there. Okay, just zoom it in a little bit more. Okay, so there's 4 different scenarios. A virtual telecommunications company, similar to how Ratikin, right, is in Japan. Then they call it the engineer strikes back, right? And these top 2 are customer relationships remains with the telecommunications company. Okay. Then as you go down, okay, if you go down to the next layer, this is where the relationship has been fully disconnected from the telecommunications company. They're either going to become a wholesale company where it's just MVNOs and, they're like Encore in Texas. That's how I describe it. Encore is the electric company for Texas, but there's like 75 different companies where you can choose electricity from. Or
wait. Under this model, does that mean when it freezes, you lose cell service?
if there's something wrong, yeah, like in that scenario, if there's something wrong with the main company, like let's say Mint Mobile, right? If they have problems, that means that T-Mobile is having problems in that area. Yeah. So then you have a vendor brand. So on the left-hand side, technology is fully with the vendors, or on the right-hand side, technology returns to the telco players. So it's very interesting, right? Are you going to depend? So if you look at the top 2, are you going to depend on a virtual model, right? Virtual RAN, everything is totally not in your control. Somebody else is controlling it. Or the most extreme would be like the top right would be, in my opinion, what is going on right now, right? The engineer strikes back. It's dependent more on engineers, blah, blah. Top left is what Dish is trying to do, just like with Ratikin. Bottom left is very interesting. I think that's like
That's not happening.
Which one? But bottom left?
Yeah, that is not happening. They're trying to move away from that.
Yeah, bottom left.
Where it's like one vendor deal and you're doing everything from them.
Right. I think bottom right is possible though. A wholesale company.
Bro, that's Dish.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what Dish is gonna do.
I mean, at the moment, they're just buying up prepaid carriers and then reselling them at the same rate.
I was going to say there's one other factor that we're not taking into consideration, and that's what does regulations look like over the coming decade?
Loosey-goosey for now.
Well, what I'm getting at is like it has always been an ongoing issue in the U.S. with private companies and ISPs. You know how I feel about it, right? Like if I became dictator dentist because Congress can't pass anything apparently, so if I became dictator dentist for a day, right? I would step in. I'd be like, okay, government runs fiber and takes control of the major backbone, and basically everybody becomes like if ISPs want to do the last mile, that's fine. They can just hook up, lease the main backbone, but the public owns the main backbone itself, which provides more competition as far as like the fixed wired solutions goes. And as far as wireless goes, I would basically do something similar to South Korea where like, yeah, you have these different networks going on, but everybody's connecting to all the spectrum. So now you have these big, huge contingent blocks just available for everybody to use, right? It just is what it is. And then you can have private companies, like 2 private companies, but they have to share the access of the spectrum across the board. No one gets exclusivity commercial access anymore to any spectrum. It's just here it is. 300 megahertz of C-band. That's what's there for everybody to use. Like that's how I would do it. That would be, in my opinion, the most efficient thing. And then you can really just place out towers however you need it, right? Because now you're combining and pulling together all these important resources. Never going to happen in a free capitalist society or whatever. But if government wanted to step in and, maybe they do it because of military strategic reasons as they begin to see the importance of what that has to do with the military. Like I could see something like that happening where some strict regulations get put into place that stop making the carriers act in ways that don't benefit the public.
I cannot be showing eye expressions during this.
Hey, Pete, can you do this one, please? Can you do this one?
Jason Cooper Hey, Sneed, I got an email from my dispensary. I live in Michigan, and that green stuff is legal and nice. And it said T-Mobile will no longer allow the dispensary to text when orders are ready to be getting delivered, or if they are ready. This makes sense due to the fact that how political can I get?
It's Pete. This is like your show. You know how it is.
Okay, so Mitch McConnell doesn't want Schumer to legalize that sticky icky, as Schumer calls it. The moment Schumer gets that sticky icky legal, they'll be able to text no problem.
So a deal has to happen.
So, in my state, we've had that stuff legal for, I don't know, 5-6 years. I still can't use a credit card, man.
Cash only?
Cash only.
Wow.
Also, they can only use credit unions to deposit that cash.
Sheesh.
Well, that's not going to change until the federal government regulates it because private banks.
Yeah.
Are gonna...
Schumer wants that sticky icky legal for a reason.
Hey, Pete, what's the problem with this statement from Jamie? I mean, I know what the problem is, but what do you think is the problem here?
Let's see. First off, their box is a piece of crap. Secondly, their RMA should not be refurbs. Thirdly, you should hook up with Zach on the Discord or Twitter. I forget Zachary's surname, but he has found a way to improve the airflow for longevity and better throughput from that base station.
Thing sucks. That the Nokia trash can is trash.
But Sneed, real quick, like you don't think there's a possibility government gets tough on the ISPs, whether it be price controlling or
seems like they want to, don't they? It just feels like that.
I mean, at least in my state.
Yeah, I here in Ohio it's a little different. They banned municipal fiber in my state.
I mean, my state was picking a bone with Comcast when they tried to put that data cap in place. We had the Attorney General of Pennsylvania getting ready to like take them to court. So
my state supports cartels.
My point is though, if the government got strict on ISPs, right, and really started regulating it, like treating them like a utility company,
mm-hmm.
There's no way they have the highway robbery profit margins that they do. No way, is what I'm getting at. Like, you know, it'd be like your electric or your water.
I don't think the problem. The problem is when the companies put the squeeze on the customer. Like, charge what you feel you have to charge, but a customer should not be walking away from the bill thinking I'm getting played. I'm not getting what I'm paying for.
Yep.
Right? So you have a value. You have a perceived value of your service. There are people who, if they got gigabit internet, they would be willing to pay $100 a month. Most people are willing to pay that, no matter where they live. That is a high quality service connection. It is never down. It is dependable. You're giving me what I'm paying for. I'm good. If you don't get what you're paying for, there's the disconnection, right? That's the problem. Does the ISP properly serve its customers? What's the accountability? Does the FCC have teeth? Are regulators truly doing their job? That's my bigger concern, is that, right? So, you know, we could argue about the semantics of, you know, are they going to crack down on ISPs? Really, what they have to crack down on is quality of service.
Well, not even quality of service. The way it is right now, this is getting away from wireless, but focusing back on traditional ISPs for a second. Traditional ISPs will literally have different pricing between apartment complexes. Like,
yep, it's based on
what have regulators done? What have regulators done to ensure that those things don't happen?
Well, here's the thing. All right, fun story. There's actually regulations in place that are supposed to prevent ISPs, whether it be Verizon, Comcast, whoever, from having like this exclusive access to like an apartment complex. There's actually regulations in place that said no. But the way ISPs get around it is what they'll do is they'll run their lines to the apartment complex, and then they'll give those lines to the landlord. And then instead of like just bribing the landlord like they used to, they will just rent exclusive access to those lines the landlord owns, and it's like a loophole. And they'll also have like some type of clause in there as well, like an addendum that says like no other ISP can be in the lobby area, to promote their stuff, even if it's just like to give away McDonald's or something.
The bottom line is this: companies only do this when they don't have to compete.
Mm-hmm.
If we had more companies active in the market, they would be forced to compete, or you're packing your stuff and you're going home.
But more companies aren't going to enter the market, Steve.
That's the problem. Why the hell can't we get this?
Because Ohio said cities cannot make their own broadband. And this goes back even further. Back in the day, Mobile was the only one who could put out the telephone. Some cases, Mobile or the daughters of Mobile are the only ones who can do telephones. Problem is, we do not have full open market in this. Oh my God, we have to use free open market capitalism for everything. We do not have that in this country yet. The reason why South Korea is kicking our ass in internet and cell phone is because the government forces them to do share carriage fiber lines.
Yes, and tower deals.
Yep.
And spectrum sharing in the sense that, for example, not in that sense, but I mean,
I know the sense you're talking about.
Yeah. So, like, let me explain a little bit. So, what I mean by spectrum sharing is C-band, right? 300 megahertz is going to SK Telecom. 300 megahertz is going to KT, and then 300 megahertz is going to LGU Plus. That is amazing that they're able to give them exact same amounts. But in the U.S., we don't have that luxury. We have to bid.
Here's the thing, though. This is your 300 megahertz block. Say your consumers are only using... If you could pop up my screen.
I love that whiteboard, man.
I know, right? So, say your consumers are only in this purple. If another company has their spectrum congested, but you're only using this about third, you are required to let the other company occupy this magenta space until they're done, or for whatever reason you end up filling up this area. So the telecom has right of first access to the spectrum, but if somebody else needs it due to customer need, they can have access to it without an issue.
So that's why, of course, South Korea is the flag. I call it the flagship model, right? The flagship country. But
oddly enough, for an Asian country, they're the most free market in this respect.
Right. But I will say this. There is two caveats that we have to consider about SK, or the Republic of Korea.
Yep, Republic of Korea.
Yep. The only two caveats is, number one, they're the size of, South Carolina, more or less, right? From Dallas all the way to San Antonio, and then to a little bit east, to Houston. It's not that big.
South Carolina.
Yeah, it's like South Carolina, right? But
by the way,
yeah,
their telecom, their government guy in charge of telecom, really nice.
Yeah, the equivalent of the FCC over there. Yeah.
No, really. He's like a cabinet level man.
Yeah, he's like the one of the center. Anyway, but second caveat is the population is not as high, but it is super concentrated. So yeah, you have, conflicting things compared to the United States. We have significantly more coverage to expand to, more people, but it is what it is.
So even more argument in my favor that trying to force four carriers in the market is an inefficient way to use the limited resources.
Yeah, but it's not.
No.
The resources are actually not limited. So Dish is part of the problem. They own a ton of spectrum, and it has not been on air for the better part of the last 6 years.
As
7
I
years.
said, they were probably a large winner in the merger because under the Biden FCC, they would have started to get fined for not deploying.
And they would have probably paid the fines.
Yeah, and it
until
probably
they found a buyer. Yeah.
Yeah, like Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon.
I'm saying basically, like, I think the market would be much better if it was one massive backbone regulated very heavily, and if you want to have competition, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile just pay some flat same rate to the government for access, and then they come up with ways to make themselves more attractive when it comes to plans or what have you.
That was actually the first 5G proposal under the Trump administration.
It was. That's true.
And then they said,
no.
Why the hell are we doing this?
Yeah, they pushed back big time on that. Yeah. Remember it was a Trump proposal, Pete.
That's what I said. That was the first 5G proposal of the Trump administration.
That got no legs. Nobody wanted any parts of that.
Not even a Jeep Pie.
Not even a Jeep Pie.
Despite the fact those leases would go right into the treasury, and all the government would have had to have done was buy back the spectrum. PCS spectrum, the low band, the mid band, and then deploy it. And since they're the government, they'd get even better wholesale deals.
All I'm saying is that, like, this industry as a whole is not one in which, like, competition necessarily fixes the problem. Like because even if competition was furious on pricing, right, you still end up with situations where one market is going to have a strong player over another, and thus that other option might not even be an option to you because they're so poorly performing. Like,
so an example here is I found locations where I'm on N41 on T-Mobile. I whip out Los's Verizon line, and I'm on band 13 at 5 megahertz.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Me neither.
No, seriously, I found it at the fringe of town, and I'm like, what the hell?
It must be a 2013 site or something. Who knows?
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is, according to the person I was near at to pick some equipment up from to repair, it's an AT&T dead zone. There is no competition in that sector. Right. If you're not on T-Mobile, you may as well have a landline.
Right. So, like, we have this, like, we talk a lot, like, the wireless space is competitive, but in reality, wireless to a certain extent suffers from the same problems that cable. Yeah. Like, it really is the case. Like, I'm lucky in Pittsburgh that it's a city and that most carriers give it some attention. Like, as much as I rag on T-Mobile, realistically speaking, they are an option. As much as I rag on them.
The old carriers deserve ragging, and some people are better at ragging than I am.
But as much as I rag, like, there is competition. But if we look at, like, pricing, though, there is no competition. Like, I was talking to Carlos because he called me up the other day, and we were talking about pricing for it up here. Like, he was talking down there, he's paying like $55 for gig from CenturyLink.
I'm paying $49.95.
Okay, but here, even though I have
love you too.
But here, even though I have competition, like, gig from Fios is $90 now.
And it's out 3/4 of the time.
And Comcast, technically speaking, is $80.
But you need them as a fallback.
But they do offer some cheaper rates in certain markets, but not everybody can get them. Like literally, we could be next door neighbors, and I could be getting different pricing from you just because of some bullshit. Like, that's how.
What you posted on social media, how often you told them to F off, the fact that you're technically in a different precinct.
Wait, what?
So the price for cable changes based on how your area has been gerrymandered. So if I have a different, despite being next door, if I have a different congressional representative, I might be paying less.
Right, which goes back. Yeah.
The cable companies actually have maps that look like gerrymandered on steroids to come up with what price point, what services, and all this hoopla, just so they can maximize profit.
Right, which is why I don't like privatization when it comes to things like internet. When people say I'm socialist Dennis, there's a reason behind it. It's because we, the consumers, and I know we want to keep this PG-13, but this is the only appropriate word for it. We as consumers get fucked when core infrastructure that's necessary for life is privatized.
You know, I say this and people get confused all the time. In certain aspects, I'm a hardcore Marxist.
Yeah, but you're trying to make something happen. Sometimes you understand that it just takes certain actions.
You need the correct pool to get the correct result.
Exactly. Like what Dennis is saying. Dennis understands something, and this is why I'm on the same wavelength with Dennis on this. Having reliable and capacitive home networking is the only way to compete in the employment market. You literally can't do your job appropriately without adequate capacity with a reliable service provider. That's the end of it.
If I didn't have a reliable service provider, I would not be making $80,000 a year.
He would not be able to compete with those in his employment market. He just
actually, the contracts I've set up, I would not have been able to bid on because I could not deliver.
Right?
Yeah, I could not deliver the you need this, let me jump on type service.
Yeah.
And something that's so important to talk about too is
I'd be living on disability if it wasn't for my internet.
Dang.
But something that's really important to talk about as well is even in areas, so about a third, maybe a fourth of the country doesn't have broadband at all, I would say. And even in that fourth, we always think of rural America, but there are cities, like inner cities, where they don't have access to broadband.
It's 100% true.
100%.
But even worse than that,
that's what I was going on with my precinct stuff.
But hold on, there's two parts that get even worse than that. One is that these people that are in rural America that have any type of option at all are paying double, if not triple, the rates that a city person would pay for inferior service. And two is that across the board, with the exception of Pete, who has municipal fiber, internet is not actually that affordable. And all things considered, like $80 for gig, like in 2021 for what it actually costs to provide gig is not actually good pricing at all.
Yeah, but Dennis, not everybody has a gig available to them, so they're more than willing to pay 80. It's really kind of subjective based on who we're talking about here. Okay, so your perspective is because you have two providers that can offer you true high-speed broadband. I have
three.
None. I have none.
What about Los Mobile?
Cox. Come on, bro. It's fixed wireless.
So
what I'm getting at is that
high-speed wireline.
None for now, Sneed. It's on deck, dog. It's on deck.
The conversation in 2 weeks is different.
What I'm getting at is that there should be a minimum service level. And by minimum, I'm talking 100 megabits per second for 2021.
I agree.
That does not cost more than $20.
I agree.
I think there should be that kind of entry-level option because it is ridiculous that there are students that have to go to McDonald's to use a Wi-Fi hotspot to do their schoolwork.
Really?
Yeah, sadly.
You think I'm joking. You think I'm joking, but I'm not.
No, it's just sad, dude.
But here's the other thing on that too, though. Sometimes those students don't have the money to afford broadband, even at the lowest cost, $25 a month. With the program status that we're talking about.
Right. Which goes on to another issue that I have, which is that I feel like for academia, internet access should be something that is free to students.
If I could eventually get into the position where I could give the FCC guidance, I would say that, that food stamps internet plan that some companies are supposed to provide should provide up to 50 megs a second, not 15, and have no data caps.
It is 50 with no data caps, actually.
When did this happen? Was it
Like-
Biden?
No, like 2 years ago.
It was. I thought that was the pandemic that they increased it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's
permanent.
temporary.
No, it's not temporary. It's a permanent change.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully it stays permanent.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well-
Internet Essentials got bumped from 25 by 3 to 50 by 5. But I'm saying it should be
what
100 megabits. But continue.
What I'm getting at is the qualification should not be food stamps. The qualification should be, hey, I'm a university student. Hey, I'm a primary school student.
Yeah.
Do not, relegate this to people with public assistance because
Public education is free, right?
it behooves us to invest in everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get rid of the digital divide because there are only so many jobs where you do not have an automated change machine.
I mean, just to take it one step further, like in my ideal world, but it's not realistic, there would just be a low cost option, period. Like it doesn't even matter if you're a student. It would be like there's a $20 option, period, like as a minimum for everybody. And then I'm saying for students, there's just a straight up free option. Like if you're in university, here you go. Like we could say from kindergarten to 12th grade, you're guaranteed an internet connection because it's absolutely necessary for schooling.
Personally, I'd say every house gets a minimum of a 25 meg line. They can use it if they want to. And then if they
Could upgrade it at a fee.
then they could upgrade it at a fee based on income.
I like that. And isn't that something that Google Fiber did when the communities where they came into, if I remember correctly?
But I'm saying, border to border, coast to coast, you should have, free internet because there are small towns where the only way you can get local news is by connecting to the internet because they had to turn off the radio stations.
And don't forget too, like it might be your only way to like get a hold of 911 since some areas are just dismantling DSL lines.
Yeah.
They're also dismantling the PUT system. So
Quick question on that though: would this service have any type of VPN or security apparatus so that people don't get DDoS or hacked or anything like that, or malware?
Encrypt the
Would it have
connection
anything?
and such.
you would
right?
be
The reason
under,
why Yeah, go ahead.
under me, you would be under the Praetorian Guard. Good enough for a Roman emperor.
Okay, so you're basically saying that this thing is going to cost a lot of money so it has to be subsidized by the government at any case.
That's the
Significantly.
idea.
Well, I mean, we pay for the ISPs to do stuff all the time. Just take that taxpayer money that they pocketed for their profits and make it something useful.
Or, the subsidies we're giving them so they don't have to pay taxes.
But I will just say, as far as all the encryption and stuff goes, I mean, it's a residential connection. So I would just say treat it like any other residential connection, whatever that level of security is.
You're getting my level of security.
I think it's necessary. It's a residential connection.
I don't care.
No, it is necessary. Man.
I know how
think about
Pete
it.
is. He doesn't care. He wants everything encrypted.
I would actually recommend.
Zero
that-
Cool would like my internet.
I would recommend that it is encrypted because there's a lot of people on very interesting OnlyFans websites and PH and goddamn who knows, So
Moose After Dark.
Moose After Dark. Oh shit, that'd be a ridiculous Netflix episode. Man, I'm telling you.
It's public internet. You do not need to know when somebody's Googling Rick Santorum.
Hey, I'm
Rick
gonna say something
Santorum.
that's gonna trigger a lot of people. I'm gonna say
Wait, why
something
would
that's I'm gonna say something
Wait,
that's
why
gonna
would
trigger-
you? What's up with your spiciness tonight, man? Isn't
I
that
know
even a jalapeno
he's
level?
feeling frothy today.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna trigger a lot of people. If Cuba can give internet access to its people for free, then the United States can
God.
definitely figure out
But
a
they
way.
giveth and they taketh, Dennis.
Hey,
Yeah, they took it away.
Yeah, they giveth and they taketh.
but the fact is, they can give it for free. Cuba also, and this might
I'm starting
also
to
trigger
feel
people.
that Dennis is very radical, talking about all these free options.
This is why we pay him the big bucks, bro. This is why we
Cuba.
God.
This will also trigger people. You know how much it costs to visit a doctor in Cuba?
Nothing.
Nothing.
And it's better medicine than you get in the U.S.
I don't go that far, and the only reason for that is because their hospitals are lacking crucial equipment that you can only be found in the U.S.
Okay, the reason why their hospitals are
Yeah,
lacking
but ours is connected to Band
equipment-
71, dog.
Dennis, the reason why they're lacking crucial equipment is because we have a trade embargo against them.
I know the reason why. I'm just saying the statement itself was false.
Yeah.
Is all.
So if we could legally sell the government the equipment, they would have it.
But on a side note to Moose's point, when it comes to politics, believe it or not, I am somewhere. I'm literally on an issue by issue basis. Believe it or not, I can lean either which way depending on what the issue is. I don't like talking politics too much, but when it comes,
don't either.
but
I'm
when it comes-
authoritarian left.
but when it comes to stuff like this, I'm very like fuck capitalism. Like let it be government regulated. Like that's my approach because
Hey,
Yeah.
nothing's wrong with regulated markets.
Because I just want to say, is there a single market where private internet can do a better job than what the municipal option did? Is there a single market that anybody could think of where a private company did a better job than a municipal option?
How
In
many
the state
companies
of
have a John Leisure?
Colorado,
How many companies have John Leisure?
0.
So name a
Dennis.
CEO. Name a CEO who has ethics, values, morals, and treats his customers like family.
Dennis, in the state of Colorado, we cannot have municipal fiber if it cannot outperform and outprice the private option.
I just want to say one other thing real quick because I'm very familiar when it comes to ISPs. Do you know what the saddest thing is? The ISPs that screw their consumers the most are ones that are entirely privately owned by like a single family.
Yep.
Serving
Cox.
No,
Cox.
I'm gonna name one.
Crapcast,
I'm gonna name one that's much worse.
and they're
Worse
local
than
to
Cox and
Pennsylvania.
Comcast? No
Come on.
way.
Blue Devil Cable. They service 2
Oh.
towns. In fact, Sneed, for the sake of this stream,
Why'd you have to bring them up? They're horrible.
How
know
the hell
them?
do you know them, Pete?
how do you know them is my first question. But here, wait, Sneed. In the private chat.
I get like alerts for local news stories with companies ripping off their customers.
What was
Here,
it
I
called? Blue Balls Wireless? What was it called?
Blue Devil
Blue
Cable.
Devil
I put it in the
Cable.
private chat. I put it in the private
Blue
chat.
balls.
Please go ahead and share this on stream real quick.
All right,
First,
dog. All right, man. All right.
I want you
Simmer
to
down.
look at their
Oh,
website.
I've seen
first.
this nonsense. You sent me this before.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. They charge if you want. So they just recently updated their speeds, which is
Wait,
great.
See,
they're
Dennis,
at
this is why our
Toledo,
people don't have
Ohio?
anything, bro.
But their best
Toronto,
speed,
Ohio. What the hell is this?
they service 2 areas: Wellsburg, West Virginia, and Burgettstown area of PA. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see their internet.
Is
price.
Bergenstown near Blue Bulls, PA?
Burgettstown is really close to where I live. It's where my buddy lives, and that's why I'm
Are
aware of them.
Are
But,
you
okay.
near Blue Bulls?
First off, these prices are actually $10 higher if you buy internet only. So just the first thing I want to say.
But the cable costs you $50, right?
Can we talk about how this website was created by a 6th grader?
Jesus.
Yes.
It's actually improved, but if you try to click on the view the new speeds link, it's broken. And these are the new speeds, by the way. But anyway, the best you can
That's a broken link. I could redirect them to Google Fiber.
The best you can get is 400 down, 10 up, and that would cost you $86.95, and you'd have a 1 terabyte cap.
That's low.
Mm-hmm.
I go through like 6 of those in half a month.
Mm-hmm. And if you go over the cap, you'll be charged an additional 10 cents per gigabyte up to $50 max.
So you get another 1,000 gigs.
And their reliability is not great. they are bad. And then also there is another provider that I'm going to mention. There's 2 more providers I'm going to mention that are also worse than Cox or Comcast that would make you feel like you'd be happy to have Comcast or
No,
Cox.
that's not happening, Chief.
No.
No, I'm going to name one. I'm going to name another one. Ready for it? Blue Ridge Cable.
Bro, what's up with all these blue balls and Blue Ridge? What are you doing, dog?
Dude, stop talking about Blue Ridge. Where are they at? Kentucky?
Dude, they're in a couple places. They're in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, Kingston, Ephrata. But dude, they have a 1 terabyte cap, and if memory serves me, in the areas where they have gig, they charge like $250 a month for gig.
Hey, if I paid $250 out of a 10 gig connection.
Bro, look at this. Latrell's paying $135 for almost gig speed.
But okay, so Blue Ridge.
Whoa. Hold up.
Go ahead.
I beat Latrell. I'm paying my parents' Spectrum internet bill in Southern California. They're the only provider. $140 for the same gig speed. But that same service here in Dallas, it has to compete against AT&T Fiber 1
So
gig.
it's 50 or 60 bucks.
So it's $60.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
That's
No,
why
you
you need
can't add
competition.
HughesNet because it's satellite. It's a little bit different.
you ready for another one?
If you
that
had
got?
HughesNet, you might as well have the T-Mobile home internet with the refurbed boxes.
Hold up. I got another one for you that you probably don't know. I guarantee you
Bro,
don't know this one. Pete.
enough of the blue balls. Seriously.
No, it's
man.
not. It's not Blue Balls. It's a company
Alright.
called Service Electric. Have you heard of them, Pete?
Oh my God, I've heard of Service Electric. That thing sucks.
Service Electric is
Why
so
can you
ass.
only offer 40 megs on fiber?
Service Electric is so ass, and they charge $140 starting before any additional taxes, fees, and other BS for gig if they offer it, which in a lot of places they don't.
A
And
lot
their
of places it's only 40 megs.
their data cap is so tiny. Like if you get like what they call Express, which is like 50 meg, I think their data cap's something like 300 gigabytes or something. Like
Yep, it scales based on your package too.
So their pricing is ass.
You get 600 gigs at a gig.
No, it's a terabyte now, I believe, Pete.
Wow, they've improved.
But my point being is that these options that I just mentioned make Comcast look like a saint, and they make Cox, as shitty as they are, not seem as bad.
So, Sneed, we've been at this for 2.5 hours.
You guys ready to call it a night?
When do you think we're wrapping?
Well, we
it?
didn't talk about the Verizon contracts. You never talked about
let's talk about the Verzini, and then we can call it a night.
Hold up. Hold up. I wanted to finish up on the fiber Sneed. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that.
Yo, DJ, kick the music.
Oh,
Shit. Hold up. I had it ready. Here we go.
Kick the music.
Here we go.
We did talk about the fiber.
So the big news about AT&T Fiber, as you guys have seen at the shorts. By the way, those shorts are amazing, Sneed. I like the shorts, the style.
I'm glad you guys
I'm not
have enjoyed
liking
this.
the shorts. I don't get why they're so mixed.
I like the shorts because
Oh,
they're tiny, bite-sized content. Okay, and you get pretty relevant information. Like remember when Cha-Cha does his shorts, I'm always tuned in because I'm like, oh shit, there's something brand new that I haven't seen in a video yet. You know.
All right, let's just so I can get the pulse
Anyways.
of the people. All right, if you like the Sneed shorts, the 1 minute or less quick little videos that I do, the video clips. If you like those, type 1. Type 2 if you're indifferent. Type 3 if you're like Pete and you just don't get it.
No, it's
You're
a 0 if you don't get it.
You're not into it. just so I
Yeah,
can get the pulse of the people. Big shout out to
Zero if you're
BF.
not
Thank
into
you.
it.
He said, don't forget about RCN and Service Electric Cable TV and PA. They're trash.
Oh God.
RCN. Oh, hold up. RCN in certain markets is actually pretty good. They offer like really cheap prices for their gig. Like there's markets where they charge only like $50 for gig, which is the lowest I've seen from a cable provider as far as gig pricing goes.
David, I hate you. You're the worst. He typed 5. You're the worst.
5 wasn't an option.
Wait, what were the options?
David,
I
I
didn't pay
appreciate
attention.
0 is you don't like it. 1 you like it. 2 is if
So
5 means I'll see you on Highway 61. Thank you, David.
yeah, so yeah.
Okay, so going back to the thing. The corridor is officially on deck. We got confirmation. We got videos already. You know, Sneed and I, we've been going back and forth on what videos. The first video, you know, the installation video, the full 20, you know, the full 180, 360. And I promised him a long time ago, my man Sneed. I promised him a long time ago. He is going to be getting the Lamborghini, the Lambo of routers, the Asus AXE $11,600 router, bro. He's going to be testing it. He's going to be going all out. Oh man, I'm excited, man.
Wait, AT&T is providing that as the rental because I thought you had to use their. I thought AT&T had to use.
No.
Like,
of course, the BGW320 is still going to be the modem.
Yeah.
But yes, the Asus AXE with Wi-Fi 6E, which with the new 6 gigahertz band, and he's going to be testing it with the new Pixel 6 and the S21. I think you still have it, right? The S21.
I gave it to my
Somewhere.
mom, Duke.
You'll finally figure it out. So, but anyways, the point is again, the SMT is getting a massive upgrade as we speak. It should be done in 2 weeks, possibly less. He will probably be the first customer on that street with the new service. Like literally,
I'm calling
day
to put in
one.
my reservation right now.
Moose,
Literally.
Moose, real quick question, man. Why does AT&T like? Why with AT&T can't you just hook up your own router to the ONT like you can with FiOS?
See, one of the things that the BGW 320 or even the 210, the 210 has. By the way, if you're on a 210, ladies and gentlemen, you should call to get the 320 at all costs. Okay, it's that much better of a modem because it's future proof, up to 10 gig backhaul. Anyways, it's about the quality of service, Dennis. Right? Unlike cable, you want to have a consistent experience anywhere you are if you're on AT&T Fiber. I'll give you the perfect example. I just found this out today, which was revolutionary in my eyes. I was actually impressed for the first time on wireline. I've never said that before, okay, until I got to fiber. But this is a big one. Imagine you worked for Bank of America, Entertainment Arts, and you have to do a VPN, like a Cisco AnyConnect, to go into your network at work, right? Because everybody's working from home, right? What if there was a time where you just scan the QR code of the BGW 320 and your employer enables your modem to be upgraded to 5 gig backhaul because they're paying for that upgrade, and your router will then be an extension using SD-WAN, an extension of their network at work. That is why we require the BGW 320 series consistent across the board, because you get a consistent experience that enables this next generation type of VPN, where it's not even a VPN, it's just an extension of your enterprise network at home. That's huge. That's like revolutionary, man.
Hold on. Two steps back real fast. One, I'm sorry, Pete.
I'm working on deploying that through 5G network slices on any device.
I know. We were talking, Sneed and I know that you were mentioned. I was like, anyways, go ahead, Dennis.
I want to take 2 steps back. First, it doesn't really answer my question, because with AT&T's fiber to the home, right, they put the ONT on the outside, right? They run the line inside, and then
That's the old network, but go ahead.
and then they force you to. Don't they force you to even rent that piece of equipment to boot? Like they force you to actually rent it.
I realized that $10 equipment fee actually, I think, is just to supplement the active armor security component to the router. So they took they took that same concept from the wireless side, and they baked it into the fiber for free because of that rental fee.
I mean, it's either that or they randomly charge you an extra $15 a month, like they do on their cell phones.
Also,
so
Moose, real quick, are you in Discord?
I
have a thing that I want to link as a PNG, and I don't have. Sneed doesn't have Discord, so I need to send this to somebody.
I have Discord.
All right, Peter, you're in
Pete,
the.
send it.
Here,
you can DM me on Discord.
I'm about to do that right now. So, real quick, on the topic of fiber, real quick, here's something I wanted to show. So, I ran a couple speed tests real quick, and people don't believe when I say this real quick, but this is why I get upset about Fios. If I do a consistent speed test, stuff like this happens at times. And you're going to see.
You got a 4 millisecond ping, and this is on the Verizon. Pinging the Verizon. He got 92 down and 942 up. Dude, you need new cables.
Need a new drop, dog.
No, he needs to replace his Ethernet cable. Get some Cat 6E.
You think that's all it is?
I have Cat 6A, and I can run a follow-up speed test where the speeds are fine.
No. You got a kink in the line.
That happened to me too, bro. That where it would drop like that with my CenturyLink, and I replaced the Cat 6 line, and it's been fine since. It actually got faster.
Got a kink. So get a new cable. You'll get rid of that.
Bro, it's behind the walls.
Dude,
break them.
Dude,
no joke. I broke my brand new house just so I could put in
you get
4
this.
Ethernet. Go ahead.
It's called a spackle knife. Or no, wait. You unscrew the breakout thing. Pull that out. You got wire, and then you can run a snake along the old one to the smart box. You gotta be able to cut your own wire to fix this, man.
I doubt it's the cable though, and here's the reason why, Pete, is because
seriously, on one of your channels you have fast Ethernet as a fallback. One of your pairs is damaged.
Okay, but hear me out real quick, Pete. I have a 100-foot cable that I bought off Amazon as a test because I was having issues, right? And I wanted to eliminate that as a factor. That same kind of issue happens even when I was using the Cat 6 cable that I got off of Amazon. Totally different from the one that I have behind the wall, which means that if there's an issue with cabling, it would be the cable that goes from the ONT into the house directly to the main WAN port if there is an issue. But I personally think it's a Fios issue because I know those cables are brand new. And
hey, Lowe's, how much does it cost for CenturyLink to fix your wire line issues with your ONT?
Verizon wants to charge $150, but
my company says sorry for the inconvenience, and then shows up.
I was gonna say I would just tell them to kick rocks, dude, and just roll a Spectrum.
Comcast. I can't do the upload speed. The upload speed is the reason why I keep the Fios connection.
And hey, if you consistently get 100 down and 1,000 up, you're solid.
I mean, I ran out of speed tests. I got 940 down now and then 940 up. But no, it's just the simple fact that Fios forgets they're an ISP in my market. Like the
wait. You could have forgotten the in my market until it been correct.
Okay, Fios forgets they're an ISP in general. Like they are an example of why when people ask me like what should you pick for an internet service provider, they're an example of why I say like a properly maintained network is important. Fiber is the gold standard, but even with fiber, you can still find a way to botch it up, and Verizon has accomplished that.
I've always said this from a long time ago when there was rumors at Verizon that they were going to sell FiOS. I still believe that they're going to sell the residential component to Frontier, but Frontier just got out of bankruptcy, so I don't think they're going to go with Frontier. Maybe they're going to go with somebody else. But my point is that they were going to keep the one fiber strategy to fiber to everything that they own, like this macros, CRAN, millimeter wave, right, everything like that. But they would get rid of the residential fiber because it's not really making them more money. I think in reality, it's going to cost them more money to deploy it in the existing areas that they have it. But I think they're contractually obligated to do it in certain areas.
Real quick, I want to address a comment that I'm seeing that came from Dump. He said I should use Cat 7 in 2021 as a minimum. There's no reason to use Cat 7 at all. Like Cat.
If you need Cat 7, you go with one of these.
Yeah, and I was also going to say like Cat 6 can do 10 gig, and Cat 6A is also rated for 10 gig with superior distance. Like my house is golden for up to 10 gigabit, if not theoretically more, depending on distance. So yeah, there's no reason to do that, and it's a pain in the ass.
Remember,
Cat 7.
10 gig, 25
40.
gig.
All right, gents, we're gonna.
I could probably get hardware for 40, but I'm only looking at 25.
We're gonna have to finish the show, and we still didn't do the Verizon contracts, man.
Yes, tell me
What
about
did
the
Verizon do?
All right, so this is the Department of Labor. It's I think like a dozen contracts. They're valued at almost $1 billion for some network upgrades.
Say $1 billion.
It's basically it's $1 billion. 12 years. They're going to be updating the agency's network infrastructure and services. I think it's for the IT background, the DOLs, architecture. It's broadband, cloud, fiber, wireless. Yep. It's the whole shebang. It's really an overhaul of all the services they need. So like audio connectivity, voice, web conferencing services. I guess
so
they're also going to be doing content delivery network services. They're going to build them a cloud environment. And they're basically going to just have them covered completely for connectivity.
Hold up real quick. This is fiber. It is future-proof. People don't know what they're talking about with cables in the chat.
So, yeah, Verizon is still...
Great pickup, exactly.
Verizon is still landing these agencies and these deals. I'm still waiting for the moment where we start to see T-Mobile getting some of these. I still think that's their Achilles heel.
They need more VA.
Sure. I don't really care what it is. I'd like to see them more active in this and get some of these contracts because I see AT&T bagging these deals and Verizon still getting them, even though AT&T has FirstNet.
I'd love to see T-Mobile get the Justice Department.
Sure. Yeah, but the DOJ went to AT&T.
That doesn't matter.
All right.
I'm not saying this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And actually, I can't say what could happen.
I always thought that the company that should have got the FirstNet deal should have been T-Mobile.
Oh yeah, or Sprint.
Yeah, like the company that needed to catch up.
If they got the FirstNet deal.
I disagree wholeheartedly with both of those, to be honest.
I know we've discussed this. I just wanted to see them get better, Dennis. Honestly, I know we can question their ability to fulfill, but I just wanted to see them improve.
I can understand it, but I think that AT&T getting it was the best thing overall. Like Verizon getting it would have been bad. AT&T getting it was good because it made them expand their coverage in areas they would have otherwise not done so.
Yeah. And imagine if the FirstNet would have happened and there was no media purchases. Like what
next year?
What would the AT&T network have been? What would it be today?
Next year,
right?
24 billion capex. God.
Yeah, it's been increasing every year. 20, 22, 24. Verizon's got 18 plus, and then they're going to dedicate 3 or 4 billion annual for C-band for the next couple of years.
So,
they've already spent $2 billion on C-band.
So again, where is Verizon network as a service contract again?
Where is it?
Yeah.
Walgreens. They got what was the other one they
The
did?
massive contracts. Is this Walgreens?
What, this one?
Yeah.
Oh,
The one
this
we're
one is
talking about.
Department of Labor.
So, Department of Labor.
Does Verizon have a contract
Damn,
with
I get
Amazon?
funding. I get some funding
Yeah,
through
Amazon
Commerce.
Web Services. Yeah.
Yeah.
Microsoft Azure as well. So does AT&T.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for T-Mobile to announce which cloud service they're using.
I just don't like
What should
how
be
T-Mobile.
DTs?
I don't like how T-Mobile does the thing where it's like, oh, there's no use cases yet. We're still working with companies. Then there's Verizon who comes up and says, what do you guys want to do? We'll supply it. Like, it's two totally different approaches. I wish T-Mobile was more like that. I wish they were approaching companies saying, how do we service you? What do you need us to do for you? They tell them the services that they want, and T-Mobile could be like, all right, we'll enable it for you.
Even if
You
they
know?
wanted to, they
Let's
couldn't.
build it.
Yeah,
Even if they-
exactly.
even if they wanted to, they couldn't. And it goes back to what you talked about earlier, Sneed, is the fact that they don't have their own fiber.
Yep.
I
So
want that to change, man.
We want it to change. We want everybody to be good.
I honestly, everybody being good would be great, but honestly, I'd rather see the government just step in and regulate very heavily.
Okay, next topic.
Pete.
Jesus.
Yeah, you could. This is
So
years
there-
of
there-
this is
there-
obviously years of frustration. You could sense it from Dennis. He's sick of these ISPs, and I get it.
am too.
I get
And
it.
there are
Yeah.
literally some things I hear, I talk about, and I can't tell people.
That's why I got to
I'll-
give you a 6-pack, and
I'll-
then you can.
I'll be wonderstruck. I'll be wonderstruck if we can reach network parity, like true network parity. But in reality, what's going to happen is someone is going to get the advantage in the 5G race, and then it's going to snowball, just like it did for Verizon during the LTE era. It's going to snowball. Like whoever manages to do that first and do it right is going to dominate the 5G era, and then it's going to snowball continuing forward into the next generation.
What if
because
it's
they're gonna-
Verizon again?
That's gonna suck.
Yeah, it means that Verizon doesn't reduce their pricing, and they can charge that premium, that Verizon tax.
They could charge you $100 a line for a 4-line thing and still cap you at 720p.
I was
Bro,
going to say
you know
because
what? I'd gladly pay $100 a line because I know this shit works.
listen, because look, here's what's going to happen, right? The person that dominates is going to have more money to spend, so when the next auction comes up, they can bolster their rank even further, and then thus dominate in the next iteration of things whenever they need that spectrum to be deployed. It's a
And then
vicious
track
cycle.
us. And then track us. And then track us.
It's a
they'll
vicious
know when
cycle.
They'll know when you're watching those cat videos on the toilet.
But on a side note,
You know, like, whoa, hold up. This is big. But so P's absolutely right. You know, like there's a massive manhunt investigation, right, for that gentleman who allegedly is being investigated, you know, with that YouTuber that passed away, murdered, you know?
Yep.
You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Put it in the private chat. Let's see if I'm correct.
I have no clue what we're talking
The gentleman
about.
from Florida. The guy
Everything
from
in
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, the guy from Florida. So the carriers are definitely tracking via, you know, the FBI, you know, to see if he's using any technology. That's the easiest way to find him.
Not if he's on CDMA.
No. You can track on CDMA. You got to be on Edge or X1 to avoid it.
Appalachia? Aren't you on 1X?
Yeah,
Jesus.
but not
Hey.
CDMA.
Hey, does anybody know why West Virginia is a weak spot for Verizon?
It's a weak spot for all carriers because it's a national
There
it's a
are
national dead spot, right?
there
Like,
are
there's-
radio.
Yeah.
There are 3 radio quiet zones there,
Yep.
so they have to limit their broadcast
Output.
power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, West Virginia sucks because the government needs quiet zones.
You look at it,
And-
buddy. You better turn them cell phones. Them their cell phones getting turned off, buddy.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is down in West Virginia, Sprint was one of the better carriers to use down
Because
there.
of Chantel.
So I may actually need to be taking a field trip to West Virginia at some point.
Take care, David. Good night. Thanks for coming through, man.
Yeah, West Virginia is actually a market where T-Mobile does well because of the old Sprint access / Chantel access.
Jesus.
But yeah, I'd be so disappointed if I take a field trip to West Virginia to test something.
All right, gents. T-Mobile in
'Cause-
court for CDMA.
Yep.
Pete's
Because
going to West
Neville-
Virginia.
Because Neville lied.
Pete's going to West Virginia.
The test
Verizon.
CDMA.
Yeah, Verizon.
No, I'm not testing CDMA. It would be CDRS.
Verizon is still landing government contracts.
Yep.
And AT&T is ruling fiber. Anything else for the good of the
And the
org?
corridor. The corridor.
corridor is
Oh, we forgot to do this earlier. Predictions for Q3
Oh,
numbers.
okay,
Predictions.
Q3
This is
numbers.
big. Yes.
Here's what I got. I got AT&T adding a milli.
God damn.
I got AT&T adding a milli. I got T-Mobile adding
750.
550,000. I think it would have been closer to 700,000, but I think that breach hurt.
Yep.
I
Their
think the
turn's
breach hurt.
going up.
Yeah, so it might be stable in Q4, but I think it hurt Q3. For Verizon, I got 220,000 added.
So
Biden. AT&T sucks in West Virginia. Go
I got-
visit.
I got
So-
Fire Mobile, aka Boost Mobile. I got them adding
150.
24,000 customers.
So here's
Man,
my
You're
my
less
predictions.
optimistic than I am.
Here's my predictions. I got AT&T adding 660,000.
Mm-hmm.
660.
I got T-Mobile
666.
adding net ads being like 325,000.
Sheesh, low.
I got Verizon adding like actually, you know what? I got Verizon losing.
Oh,
I got Verizon losing about 75,000. And then I got Boost Mobile adding 100,000.
Sneed. Oh shit.
I like this is the same thing that I said with Moose. You guys predict things that have never happened before. Why do you say it so confidently? It's never happened before.
So
I didn't say they lose a lot, but I'm saying they lose some.
But it's never happened. They've never had a loss in a Q3 ever.
Okay, the only way it's an ad is that they're counting the Xfinity mobile ads or something like that.
No.
So-
You don't have to look at it like that. No.
I want to say something. I'll do my predictions, but first I'd like to thank the following people for super chats.
Go ahead, Pete.
Jose, Biden with 3, Alexis with 2, Texas Marine with 2, Badass Mother something 2, PA Tech 2, Austin Swartz 3, Akiva with 1. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all for your super chats. You were
Thanks,
kind.
guys. Thank you. Go ahead, Pete.
So now, Pete.
I'm not making predictions.
You just said that you would.
No, I said yeah, but instead
You're
I gave
blue-balling
super
us, Pete.
chats.
Okay. Cha-Cha. Give the predictions, dog.
I say AT. This is net ads, right? You want net ads?
The net, bro. The net.
I say AT&T between 950,000 to 1 million. So
God damn, man.
And I see their churn being anywhere between 0.55 to 0.7.
Oh, you want to do churns?
Jesus Christ.
That's
You know
what,
what?
that's what I see the churn combined churn.
If we're talking
And-
churn, I agree with that.
If you're going to that piece, I'm headed to bed.
All right, Pete.
All right,
Take
good
care.
night, bro.
See you. Good night.
All right, I see Verizon maybe 200,000, bro.
Damn.
No. With a churn of between 0.7 to 0.92.
You guys just
And
picking
I
these
see-
numbers.
And I see T-Mobile about 450,000 net adds,
It's low too.
and a
I think
churn
Dennis was on.
and a churn of like 0.89 to 1%.
Damn, that's high.
I think his AT&T
there is a-
one's. I think his AT&T one's a little low. I like his Verizon one. You know. Go
No,
ahead, Los.
I got AT&T's gonna be around there. I'm willing to put money on it.
I don't understand.
Chacha has his
You guys
sources,
pick
man.
numbers. You guys pick
I'm
numbers
willing to
that have
put-
never
I'm willing to
happened
put a
before.
hun-
Like
I'm willing to
why?
put $100 on it.
Chacha
What was your
has
number?
his sources,
What was your
man.
number, Carlos?
He has his sources, man.
0.5?
0.55 to around 0.7.
No, I
I'm
meant
gonna
the
say 0.75.
The net
For
ad.
sure.
I meant the net ad. What was your net ad?
Not between 950,000 to 1 mil.
Chacha
If we're-
has his sources, man.
If we're doing a range, I'll do 600. If we're allowed to do range, I'll do 660,000 to no more than like 850,000.
Interesting. Still low compared to both Sneed and Chacha.
But
Well, part of it is because I'm basing off of the 3-day iPhone 13 sales that I have a rough idea of what I know. But
How many do you
well-
know? Oh, fuck. It was amazing, man. It was fucking amazing,
Amazing.
those 3 days, man.
amazing.
I'll just
The first
say
3
that I
days of
was
the
able to
iPhone.
I was able to guess it within 1,000, and I know what it is roughly. And I won't say how I know, but I know what the iPhone 13 sales were.
Are you
because-
talking about from Apple directly, or what are you talking about, Dennis?
just for AT&T iPhone sales in general? I know what the
Oh, interesting.
I know what the number is, but I don't think that aside from that strong push, I don't think they actually necessarily have the strongest turn to that strong push.
Interesting.
And I think there was factors, and I think there's factors that limited the amount of growth that they were able to have due to inventory constraints, which is why I'm keeping
Oh, of
it.
course. Of
Yep.
course.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
they were-
damn
they were-
inventory.
But they were cooking before the iPhone release.
But there was
but
other
that-
constraints.
Yeah, but they sell
The
iPhones,
iPhone-
not Galaxies.
Look, but I'm gonna tell you this right now, Steve. The iPhone, the first 3 days that came out, if it wouldn't have been for that, they would have missed the close to 1 million or the million.
Yeah,
Net
I got them around 1 million. If there was no shortage,
But
if there were no supply constraints, I had them well over 1 million.
I'll predict this. So for the first 3 days of the iPhone sales, we'll find out eventually. The first 3 days, I say about 260,000 net ads for iPhones on the first 3 days.
What did I say when I talked to you? 250, I think I said, right?
Yeah, you were talking about 250. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with that number then.
We're talking about just iPhones?
That's just the 3 days.
Yeah, iPhone 13, first 3 days of selling.
Yeah.
selling.
Yep.
But so I have a friend of mine that works at Apple, and he told me that in just 72 hours, 3 days, right, from the launch, they were able to move several million. That's all he could say. He didn't give me a number, but several million units. And the problem is that some of them are, embargoed is the wrong term. They're delayed because of the ship congestion in the LA port and in the San Francisco port. So, because remember, not all of them can be shipped through the air, right? Majority of the iPhones come through boat. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just
Yeah.
surprised you guys are lowballing Boost. I feel like there are aggressive promotions that they're coming out with.
Dennis, they were losing 250,000 subs a quarter. So I got them gaining 30,000.
I feel like there's a chance for them to have a comeback.
Metro just ran a special $25 a month if you're switching from Boost.
Okay, let me do my
That's
predictions.
That's been going on for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
That's hard. I got Metro adding 80,000.
Oh, we
Okay,
didn't
let me
even
do
talk
my
about that, but
predictions.
okay.
Let me do my predictions. So I have Verizon doing 250,000 net ads. Pretty reasonable, right, Sneed? Pretty reasonable, right? I got T-Mobile doing only 500,000. Pretty in the middle, right? We hear 600, we hear 400. I'm in the middle, 500,000. And then I see Boost. I think taking losses. I think Boost is going to take some losses.
The only way I'll let you go with that is if you could tell me why.
Because I don't think that there's a couple of reasons why. The customers that are looking for a deal more than likely are not going to get the best possible deal from Boost, so they're going to be shopping around. They're going to see Mint Mobile, they're going to see Cricket, they're going to see Metro deals. And then they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to go into one of those. But traditionally speaking, the Boost customer is a slightly older generation, so they're not going to be shopping too far. Maybe they're just going to look at Metro or Cricket and boom, go to one of the two. I don't think that, generally speaking, a Boost customer is going to go to Mint simply because there's no stores, there's no signage somewhere that they can just walk into a dealer or to like a third party or a authorized retailer and just walk in there. I think that this last quarter, overall, prepaid is going to just flatline. I don't think that there's going to be massive gains or losses. I just think it's going to be like business as usual compared to Q2. I think personally, though, Q4 is going to be interesting because Q3 is when the Biden cash stopped flowing, right? You know, the stimulus checks, right? Because of the extended pay or whatever thing, right? It ended in September 7th or something. So I think that we're going to see, the unemployment checks. I think that we're going to see a significant drop off of folks in this fourth quarter, personally.
Dude, I see prepaid growing, like, because of everything that's going on. I see prepaid having a massive growth, and I don't know if you consider it prepaid necessary. What do we consider the carriers, or not the carriers, excuse me, the cable providers? What do we consider them? Prepaid?
They're
Postpaid?
prepaid.
They're prepaid?
But they're technically a postpaid type of service because you have already the wireline asset or the TV asset, and then they're just banking it in like a feature ad.
Well, I see them being a big, like, having another big quarter with like something like maybe 400,000 ads.
Yeah,
because they ran aggressive iPhone deals.
Yeah, they're doing 500,000 a quarter. So, between Xfinity and Spectrum, they're at 500,000 a quarter. So I think you're right. I don't think that slows down. I think they actually pick up. I'm going to give them 550,000 between the two of them. 275 and 250. Something like that. Oh yeah, dude. There's no reason why they wouldn't grow because people are looking for deals. So if they could take their two lines off of Verizon and move it onto Spectrum, their bill goes from $170. Now they just bundle it. It's just now it's $80, $90 on top of their, whatever their TV and their home internet.
Plus, they just got done running the most aggressive back to school promotions too. Like they were doing some like crazy stack.
Verizon doesn't care.
Yeah.
They're like, they're still on our network. We're still making money, and we don't have to serve those customers. Verizon hates customer care. Real quick, Green, thank you for the super chat. I did see the Verizon business plans. I'm probably going to do a video on them eventually.
Oh yeah,
show the
Cha-Cha
revamp and
gave me an
stuff.
update on that. That was super interesting.
Appreciate the heads up, and I'll definitely be doing a video.
And then let me touch base really quickly on one last thing, Sneedman, if you can. The news update that we got last podcast we were on when Tyrone broke the news about the taxes and fees, right? The nuke, right? Remember he mentioned that on the last podcast? I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah,
I remember.
I heard rumor. Rumor it might start in the middle of October.
Yeah, there's been chatter. There's been a lot of people speculating this now. I know, Sneed, you have some confirmations on this. I think that it's a foregone conclusion, huh, Sneed?
I think so.
It's coming.
Yeah.
The nuke.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are going to be happy. I think some people would be wise to consider some movement.
Yeah.
So basically, your boy is about to have an extra $30 a month saving.
There it is. Savings.
Well, actually, my dad, but yes.
It's the family. It's all in the same pockets, man.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Dump Biden again. AT&T is number one. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate all your donations tonight.
Dump them. Yeah.
Mr. Biden. And thanks, Troy, for the super chat. I say they all add around 500,000 customers. I don't know if it'll be uniform. I don't think it'll be. But, you know.
We're talking net ads, though. I just had a thought real quick, because we're talking about net ads, right? Because we named about maybe 3 million people at this point, because we're saying net ads. Where are the 3 million people coming from?
It's just new lines of service. Some of them are coming from prepaid. Some of them are coming from prepaid. Yeah.
Kids. Right,
the add-a-line promos are still there. I think a lot of the T-Mobile ads are add-a-line promos too.
Yeah. I mean, like, think about it like this, Dennis. How many millions of kids this year are getting an iPhone? This year, right? Think about it like that. Because of the whole pandemic situation, and now with they're going to have to get back to school, it's even more likely that they're going to get a phone. Like my neighbor's kid, he's barely 12 years old, and he's going to be getting an iPhone 13, an iPhone 13.
Yes, I just looked it up real quick, though. The U.S. birth rate is like 1.7, which means that the population is kind of like...
it's flatlining.
Yeah. So where are the extra 3 million or so people coming from? Because like the population isn't changing is what I'm getting at. Is it just adding devices in general? Like,
so the elderly are also adopting technology more than they ever been. You've got kids that are getting into upper grade levels, right? Middle school, high school age. Those are ads. And I think people are also adopting second lines. And we've got eSIM now, right?
Right.
And
that's a big...
More phones are able to do dual SIM now. So, and it's the iPhone specifically. So I think that's where some of the gains are.
I guess you're right. Because technically speaking, on one person, I gave T-Mobile, I have 3 lines on T-Mobile. So I guess that would count as 3 lines. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And
that's why I think the growth is not crazy, but it's still there.
But it's not actually people per se. It's just an extra line, which counts as it makes sense.
Yeah, but a kid getting added, a kid starting 6th, 7th, 8th grade, who gets a line added, I mean, that's a customer ad.
Fair.
Yeah, and the other thing that we got to consider as well is the fact that, for example, how many of our viewers for this podcast, right, the SMT community, have multiple lines on their phones or have multiple phones, period, right?
Under 10%.
You know, there's a bunch of people. That's 10%, right?
Which is high, 10. I think, for like the general population. That's
right. It's a lot of people because of all these free lines that T-Mobile's doing. But here's the other thing that we forgot to mention as well, is that eSIM with this generation of iPhone has made it so simple. You know, I was talking to Chacha one night, and he activated a Verizon eSIM like that, literally like that.
Bro, it's butter to do the eSIM on the iPhone now, more butter than ever, and to switch it between different devices. Like I can right now switch my eSIM from Verizon. I could switch it to my other iPhone in less than 5 seconds.
I've never done it yet. I don't know how to, and I'm scared to.
No. With AT&T, it makes it easy. You just press a button on the settings, and it transfers it.
All you do is hit add cellular, and then it'll say right there the phone number. You click on it, and it transfers it.
And if you have already a physical SIM, you just press convert to eSIM on the cellular settings, and it actually does it flawlessly.
Bro, I got the Samsung S21 Ultra with the UI4 beta.
Yeah.
Dude, eSIM is a nightmare. It's not like the iPhone where the eSIM, so let's say your data is weak on one line, it'll start using the data off the other line. You can put data sharing, you know? It doesn't do that on the Samsung. So if you lose service on one phone, you have to automatically go into the settings and change the line to be on the other line for data. And it's just a nightmare to activate, bro. Every time when you switch the eSIM, switch the SIM profiles, it has to reboot every time. Reboot. And then the carrier settings change, everything changes. It's trash, bro. Trash.
Yo, but boys, I think we should call. We made it to 3 hours.
Yeah.
All right, my good people,
So-
let's wrap it up.
Like what I was saying, Doug. Like I was saying, the Death Star's coming, Doug.
And
The Death
guys,
Star's coming.
real quick shameless plug, real fast. If you guys are still hungry for more content and more interesting stuff, me and Stetson did a fantastic podcast yesterday on the Best Phone Plan channel. And let me tell you, if you like spicy Dennis, it was a spicy one. Okay. We got motivated in that podcast, and I highly recommend checking out. It's on the Best Phone Plans channel.
Yep. And if you like bearded Dennis better, then all those videos have bearded Dennis.
Yes, I have a beard.
Oh man. All right, gents. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to Carlos. Thank you to Moose. Big shout out to Dennis and the Best Phone Plans podcast and Stetson. Appreciate you guys for being a part of the SMT movement. And big shout out to the nation, everybody who offered super chats, everybody in the live chat, all my moderators, hashtag Ravioli Gang for those of you that were eating during the podcast. Hashtag 2Live Crew if you watch this in the live. Hashtag Replay Crew if you're watching this after the fact on DVR. And thanks everyone for your continued support of the channel. And check out the links in the description box for all the things going on with the community, the Twitter handle, the email address, the Patreon page if you want to get more content. And that's pretty much it. Big shout out
We
to everybody.
made it, baby. Q4, man.
We did Q4. We brought
Yeah.
we brought in Q4 with a 3-hour podcast. Thank you to everybody for watching. We'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Peace.